Welcome to busy season. It's going to start ramping up the amount of rounds, the amount of opportunity, the amount that you can say, right, I need points and I need points quickly. We head ourselves over to the Dutch dunes on the northern coast then of Europe as Zandvoort plays host to this fifth round of the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational. My own Shakespeare here bringing you all of the coverage. Zach Caven is alongside with me for today's action. And Zach, I am looking so much forward to all of this that is going to be going into play, because when you get yourself involved at this stage of the championship, this is what I like to call meat and potatoes. This is where you build championship runs from.
Yeah, absolutely, Jake. Good evening to you. Good evening, everybody. Good to have you along. Second round in the 5-run stretch that we've got in the period of about 11 weeks. Very, very frantic patch of the season. And you're right, you're going to earn your stripes tonight, mate, because this is such a polar opposite race circuit compared to what we dealt with 3 weeks ago at the Circuit de la Sarthe. You look at how wide open and flowing that place was and the unlimited opportunity to slipstream, draft and dice and slice. Tonight, you're going to earn your stripes because there's the lack of overtaking opportunities. They're going to have to get the elbows out. They're no stranger to doing that. They're not immune to doing that. Race control are going to have their work cut out for them most likely. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yes, tonight will be particularly that second race with regards to the invert top 10. That'll be where you earn your stripes. Consolidate, salvage what you can, take what points you can, build the championship. We know that the top two are starting to gap the competition at the moment. Tonight might just be an opportunity for everybody to try and reel them back in.
It's going to feel like a bit of a Gizzy light circuit as far as it goes, because of the fact that it is part oval inspired, as various elements will show. So this is where we are, July 15th here with a 7100, as we have seen many a times before. But we are getting right into the stretch between here, round 5 and round 9 over at Shell V Power Motorsports Park at the Bend. It's going to be 2 months of frantic racing to get yourself in. And the big key as well is what looms 2 weeks from now, the 60, 60, 60. And then a couple weeks after that, the big 41-40 over at the mountain.
It's going to be exciting, isn't it? Because obviously the Red Bull Ring round is the first of 2 super sprint rounds, mate. The other one being the Adelaide Parkland Street Circuit there on December 4. Make note of that too, folks. If you're planning ahead, that is a Friday night, not a Wednesday night. So something a little bit different there for grand finale week. The other point as well, when you look at the schedule, it's been a very European top-heavy opening to the season. We finally break clear of Europe and go and explore the rest of the motor racing universe when we get back to Mount Panorama for round 7. But first we must conquer Zandvoort, and then we go back to the Red Bull Ring, which will be an absolute beauty on par with Le Mans, I reckon. It's going to be interesting to see how everybody approaches that, given that it is a 3-race round. It's just another 2 opportunities for Damon Woods to try and dominate, I think.
Well, we know how dominant he has been, and we'll be keeping a very close eye on whether the story is going to tell itself over again. Now, here is the tale of the tape so far with your top 3s from each round. 4 wins out of 4 for Damon Woods in race 1s, has built his ground out there. But Zach, the key has been race 2s. He's been hit with 1 penalty that cost him over at Spa, but at the Nürburgring. But you're looking around at it, he's not finished off the podium, and his nearest challenger, Zach Rattray-White, 2 wins to his name, but critically also, he's had 3 podiums to go along with it. So you're seeing the names that are consistently finding their way up there. You're seeing Mackay currently up there a bit. Byron Pierce has had a few runs up there. Zach Rattray-White, really strong. Those are the main challengers that we're seeing.
Quite remarkable that Damon Woods copped that 5-second penalty after the Nürburgring second race. It took a couple of weeks to obviously be processed and applied, but he still didn't finish off the podium. 8 starts, 8 podium finishes. We talk about championships being built on consistency. You can't get much more consistent than that. And 5 podium finishes for Zach Ratway-White. As you have a look at the point standings there, ladies and gentlemen, what we've just showed you on the first graphic reflects what you're seeing on the second graphic. That's an 88-point advantage that Damon Woods enjoys at the top of the tree. Zach Ratway-White took a couple of points out of him in that feature race at the Circuit de la Sarthe, which was an absolute instant classic. Rick Kuznetsov, the best of the rest, if you like, starting to gap Zach Kerr, who's only got 10 points, very little leeway over Marino Morella. And then Seth Brown, Dean Mackay, Brock Gilchrist, Jack Vittis, and Miles Burgess. Interesting, when we look at the previous graphic, Brock Gilchrist and Miles Burgess aren't two names that I've mentioned or were mentioned as podium finishers so far. So this is interesting, Jake, because you look at the guys that are well out in front, as you can see, Ratway-White and Damon Woods. That's no surprise to anybody. But look at the amount of people that are just knocking at the door, and I'm hoping me knocking on the desk is coming through the sound effects at the moment. the knocking on the door. 10 different drivers have bagged the podium finish so far this campaign. Byron Pearson, Dean Mackay, Marino Morella with doubles, as opposed to singles for Tom Bewley, Rick Kuznetsov, Dylan Shepherd, Jack Vittis, and Zach Kerr. But Miles Burgess, Brock Gilchrist, 2 guys that are in the top 10, yet to bag a podium finish. Can tonight be the night that they turn that around?
Well, we will have to see. And let's break the points down then as far as they have scored, and the keys have been the race 1s and race 2s. So Damon Woods, of course, who has been flawless in qualifying, flawless in race 1s, has a maximum point from that regard. But you're seeing, though, still holds the margin, actually the biggest dent, and this is going to come as a surprise for someone who's not actually won a race 2 here, Zach. He's actually made the biggest dents by getting on the podium 4 times in race 2s, ahead of Zach Ratway-White, Rick Kuznetsov, Zach Kerr. You're looking around, Miles Burgess, for example, race 1 demon, race 2s haven't quite been going the way that he's been needing them.
No, not at all. And it's interesting because we've been talking about this all season, and you wanted to highlight this specifically, mate. And I'm glad that you did. And it's a nice little bit of intel and insight for our audience at home. There's only a third of the points on offer for any given night available in race 1. Obviously, when we get to the super sprints, it's an even split down the middle. Everything weights the same. But more points available to you in race 2, which brings the invert into question, which brings those that have a bad run in race 1 into question, trying to recover some ground in race 2, tear their way through the field. Some do it better than others, which is why we talk about the skill set of Damon Woods and the way in which he is just a genuine, versatile all-rounder. He qualifies well, so he carries that 1-lap pace. He has no issue leading from the front, and he's pretty bloody good at tearing through the field from 10th on the grid in race 2. He's had a fair bit of practice at that so far this season.
Oh, he very much has, and so he'll be looking for another chance of trying to line that up again with qualifying about to kick off. But what a circuit here at the Circuit Park Zandvoort. It's a circuit that has raced Formula racing all the way back in the 1950s, believe it or not, in its larger format. This was its changed and revised format that has now put itself into play, but takes a lot of inspiration from the Americas to build it up through Tarzan, the Hugenholz at turn 3, and the rise up through to She-Black at turn 7. And you got that big old banked finish at Ari Luyendijk corner, which finishes off the lap. It's surprising how much throttle you have here. You're over 2/3, or just about 2/3 of the lap, full throttle, but the key is going to be managing yourself through a lot of medium speed corners, and corners really, Zach, like She-Black, for example, that are going to be high intensity on tyres, and how you've got to run a car like this one, this Porsche 992.2, on a knife edge.
Absolutely, and your mega commitment through a rather undulating part of the circuit from the first of the banked sweeping hairpin corners. Of course, you've got that double apex sweeper 13 and 14 that brings you back round onto the main straight. But let's talk about that first sector into the second sector. You come out of turn 3. You'll see varying lines through there throughout the course of the night as each driver works out what works best for them. But then mega commitment 3, 4, 5 and 6. And then you've got to really tread carefully through turn 7, then up to turn 8. Turn 9's a bit of a breaking point. One of the criticisms I have of this circuit, and I'm usually proven wrong and happy to be so again, is that the narrowness of it makes it very difficult in these bigger, higher horsepower machines. And obviously the bigger they are, the less you can go side by side around the racetrack. So you won't see a lot of 3x3 running tonight, but you will see a lot of 2x2, particularly in the early stages. And one thing as well, Jake, have a look at where these guys look about preserving their tyres. Tyre wear is going to be a talking point. You mentioned that a moment ago, but also trying to execute those overtaking opportunities. I mentioned earlier, you're going to have to get the elbows out more so than most other stops on the tour. There's a reason for that, and that is that it is a very tight and narrow racetrack. So these guys, if they're going to earn their stripes and push their way up through the order, they're going to not be able to afford to leave anything on the table, as we, for the first time this evening, bring you live pictures from qualifying. We should point out as well, Jake, iRacing maintenance kicking in at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this evening, midday GMT, 8 a.m. American Eastern Summertime, which is why we're starting things off just a little bit earlier than usual.
Yeah, it's to give ourselves a little bit of leeway so that we don't get timed out over in the final race of tonight, which is 40 minutes long, 24 laps worth of action out there as the first time's coming in. David Woods on top on a 1:33.2. So 20 minutes of qualifying with points on offering. Then you've got 18 laps available for 30 minutes in race 1. And then race 2 comes along. And critically, some drivers as well, Zach, not here today and running, as we've got Zach Hanlon out there at the moment for BM+. So no Jet Van Hemmer, no Kane Ryder, and no Jordan Malcolm, which means Jackson Raihana, once again, I think he's been quite lucky. He's had more ins than outs this season.
He's had more cameos than someone that says they're retiring and then goes and does a comeback tour. Unfortunately, we won't see any more of them from John Farnham, given these recent health setbacks. But yes, he's been quite lucky being invited through the door. Same applies to a couple of our supercar competitors, most notably as well here on the platforms of the Australian Sim Racing Group. But what I like about Raihana, knocking at the door, sitting there waiting patiently for his invitation to come in and play, and has not turned his nose up at any of those opportunities, and is always fine about making them count.
Sam Chapman with heavy damage right now, trying to bring himself back around. So he's had a massive smash up in the 101, and that's happened at the Hugenholz at turn 3. Lost it through Gerlach at 2. He's not hit the barriers. Instead, he has managed to use Sebastian Eskandari as his barrier.
Oh, here we go. On the OG Gear replay, out wide. That was after he had the incident. He's taken off to the outskirts of the circuit to get out of harm's way, the runoff area, and that's going to set him back for the balance of the evening, you would think. Again, highlighting what I said earlier about it being very difficult to work your way through. Oh, that's unlucky, particularly for Eskandari. You don't have a small incident at this venue. That's one thing we've found out over the years, which brings me to the next question I have for you, Jake. How likely do you reckon we are of going time certain in one of those races tonight? How likely do you reckon we are of seeing the safety car? We, of course, avoided seeing the safety car deployed at Le Mans. We will be hoping for the same here.
I think we can hope for the same, but if you get an incident through the Hugenholz, there's no doubt you're going to have one out there on circuit, and you really have high levels of dissipation on incidents around the likes then of turn 3, for example, over at Sheeplat's, another corner where there's troubles. Hans Ernst, always a place where it can go wrong, and there are going to be drivers then who are going to be looking around at themselves going, well, what am I dealing with? Sam Chapman is someone who definitely needs a good qualifying, because Zach comes into today the championship of the Million Esports on 403 points. He is our bubble man.
Yes, and obviously not an ideal start to the evening for him. Hopefully that's the least of his issues, and he can turn it around and get back going in the right direction as the night plays on. Obviously, the other point as well, if you try to take a cautious, preservative approach and try to keep your nose clean, you could reap the reward from that forecast carnage that you just mentioned, the potential trip-up points through this middle part of the lap. Particularly in the opening laps, Jake, I'm just wondering, I'm a little bit hesitant to put a number on it, but I'm just wondering how many drivers might struggle or get caught up inadvertently as an innocent bystander in somebody else's incident when they're still trying to sort themselves out. Because what we're going to see in qualifying here is everybody's trying to find clear air, and you're already getting an indication on your screen there, folks, as to how hard that is to do on a 4.3 kilometre circuit with 40 cars arguing over the same piece of real estate. It'll be the same when everybody's bunched up at the start. It'll take a couple of laps to sort itself out and everybody to give themselves some clear air. So, yes, the probability of incidents tonight is rather high. Timing on the left-hand side of your screen there, ladies and gentlemen, shows you that Damon Woods remains the man to beat at the top of the leaderboard at the moment. 0.2, the advantage over another name we haven't mentioned, but it's great to see him up there, Jake. Hugo Allen, Jack Vittis, we were reliably informed that he's rather unwell tonight, but pushing through, soldiering on, that's what we like to see. You might notice that my commentary colleague has a fair bit of a clogged nose at the moment, so he's pushing through that. Good to see everybody soldiering on as best they can, despite illness trying to get the better of them. Jack Vittis, one of those examples, and he'd be mightily happy with third at the moment. Whether he can hold on to that through the remaining 11.5 minutes of the session remains to be seen. Good to see Corey Lazarus also. I mean, there's a guy that hasn't... You mentioned Chapman a moment ago, Jake. There's another bloke, Corey Lazarus. Formidable front runner in the previous incarnation of the Porsche. Competitive on the world stage. Still trying to wrap his head around the 992.2. Could tonight be his breakout opportunity. He hasn't had any luck in this series, being caught up in more prangs than he'd be, obviously hoping to be caught up in. Let's wait and see what he can bring to the table, but fifth is a tremendous launch pad for him as we pick him up on screen.
Right, one thing I will note though, as we watch Corey Lazarus, Hugo Allen, who is in second, he is 28th in the championship on 312 points. He has not had the start of the season that his pace has dictated to him out there. Tom Bewley currently in fourth. But for Hugo Allen and for Antal Sabo in the number 92, there are going to be some big concerns with the stewards because they haven't put their banner on properly at the top.
Oh, dear oh dear. Not a good start to the evening for them. This is one of those, we were talking about Chapman having his issue with the off-track a moment ago and clouding the wall and clouding Sebastian Escandari as well on the way through. You don't want to be wearing the wrath of race control and stewards here and starting with an invoice at the beginning of the night. You don't want to be accruing one either at any point through the night if you can help it. But yes, when it's one of those little 1%ers, unfortunately, you can only slap yourself on the wrist. Yes, race control will do it for you, but at the end of the day, the drivers know the I's they've got to dot and the T's they've got to cross before we go racing, and those guys obviously haven't been able to do that. Let's hope that they can get that sorted and redeem something.
Zach Rattray White.
Ooh.
Sorry, Zach Rattray White's around now at the final corner, and he's going to have to find a very awkward way to get that back in a straight line. In fact, he's pitching round the wrong way to try and get himself any way to turn this one around. Now, if you've ever seen how much banking there is up at that section, it is tough. Zach Rattray White then trying to get his word in with race control, saying, do you need some help to get yourself back out there or not? And the answer is he'll need a lot of it, and he's had to take the tow, which means his qualifying is over, and he'll have to go from, at best, 16th place, Zach.
And it's funny, isn't it? Because consecutive rounds, we've been talking about Rattray White in qualifying. He took a while to put a lap down at Le Mans, eventually did that. We saw what he was able to pull off from there. Brilliant performance in race 2. A much more difficult mountain to climb for him tonight. This is how he did it. The car just got all sorts of out of shape. Yeah. One of those technical problems.
At Le Mans, Zach. He had that wheel failure at Le Mans, a screen freeze round 1. This time, a wheel failure here in qualifying. Can he catch a break?
No, it would appear not. Let's ride on board with him and have another look at it on the OG gear replay to the right-hander. He got out of there okay, out of the second to last corner, but then the wheel just said, no, I'm not having a bar of this anymore, and it speared him out hard left into the concrete. We mentioned that you don't have a small incident here at Zandvoort. What's that, number 2 of qualifying already? We're still at 7.5 minutes of this session to go. Ratway White's launching from no higher than 16th. He's just dropped to 17th, so no higher than 17th for race 1. A game-changing moment in this championship, considering that he is nearest Damon Woods in the points table, and Woodsy is right at the top of the summit right now. So, yes, another opportunity for Zach Ratway White to prove what a superstar he is by seeing exactly what he can do in race 1 and how much ground he can recover. He's absolutely distraught at the moment, and who could blame him? Cannot catch a break. We talk about the technical problems of the sim world being the mechanical problems of the real world, and that comparison there, Jake. And it's been 3 weeks. I'm sure he's gone back to the drawing board and had a look at it. And obviously he's at a dead end at the moment, trying to sort out a problem, a probable and permanent solution to the problem. And unfortunately, he's got his work cut out for him right from the outset tonight. My interest will be now what he can do in that first 16 laps, whether he can get back to 10th, 9th, be in the invert. Hayden Veld in 9th at the moment, finds himself inside the top 10 as we circulate through turn 1, 6.5 minutes to go in qualifying.
Hayden tends to like Zandvoort in whatever car that he tends to run, so this could be a driver of emphasis here over the course of running. He's just behind the driver third in the championship, Rick Kuznetsov, by 7,000th of a second, and he'll be getting the toe up through the dunes here, past Rob Slowmaker and into Schneeblack Corner here, which is Tice Hodge that he'll be using as his way to run on along. Masters Corner, you've got to open up the steering, turn and then brake, and then get into the rotation of the corner while carrying speed. It's possibly the toughest corner out there on the circuit. For those who understand Zandvoort, that corner actually goes down as far as the difficult corners of Motorsports Act as one of the most underratedly difficult corners, Masters Corner at Zandvoort.
Another screen freeze for Zach Ratway White. So we've just had that confirmation come through our ears, Jake, for the audience at home. Jake Kennedy in our ears, and obviously producing and directing the broadcast for you at home, and everything you're seeing is his masterful work. He's had a message come through directly from Zach Ratway White confirming that, yes, another, so it wasn't a wheel failure this time, it was another screen freeze. 2 on the trot, and he's on an unfortunate hat-trick when we get to the next round of the championship of the Red Bull Ring in a couple of weeks' time. And again, you're noticing as we take the OG Gear replay with Josh Perwin, same point of the circuit where his teammate Sam Chapman ran into trouble earlier. There was some debris on the racetrack, and he's looped it. He's slightly touched the wall, Jake, and he's got away with it. I've somewhat now forgotten what you're talking about with regards to the most underrated corner of difficulty here at Zandvoort. We'll come back to that a little bit later on. But the Vermilion boys in a little bit of trouble early. Zach Ratway White on a hat-trick when we get to the Red Bull Ring. Thankfully, when you get there, a little bit more runoff area than what you've got here. And I don't think that's something we've spent a hell of a lot of time alluding to or elaborating on so far this evening. But it's there for everybody to see at home. You don't have much room to breathe here if you come unstuck.
Hugo Allen has pulled the gap down now to a quarter of a second to Damon Woods, who on a 32.6 looks untouchable. Danny Davidson then in 6th position. So Davidson looking really good on that 33.0, but it is a hornet's nest at the moment between 33.0 to 33.2, because that margin, the difference of 33.0 between a 33.16 out there at the moment, Zach, with 3.5 minutes to go, and when the clock strikes 0, that's the end of qualifying, no added time. I turn around, that is, what, 10 places, splits a 10.5 right now for your top 5 to top 15.
Yeah, it's an extraordinarily tight qualifying session. I mean, take Damon Woods out of it, 0.253 to Hugo Allen. You go down to Ewan Baker there in 15th. It's not even 0.5 of a second. It's 4,700 or 44 hundredths of a second. It's just quite extraordinary, the margins there at the moment. And you've got to go outside the top 28 to find anyone outside that 1 second threshold. Lachlan Capel in 32nd, the first one to be more than a second away from the pole time, which currently sits with Damon Woods. Byron Pearce trying to find a way into the top 10. Does so up at a 7th. Nice jump from 12th to 7th for Byron Pearce. And another one that we highlighted at the start of the night. He's picked up 2 third-place finishes so far in this championship. If you're hoping for more of the same tonight, here's Zach Kerr as he makes his way through in 12th now, just having been punted from 11th by Byron Pearce. He'll be trying to get back into the top 10. And of course, if you're Hayden Veld or Zach Kerr, if you're starting 11th or 12th in that first race, you're not too despondent not too displeased with that, Jake. You'll be hoping to benefit from some of the shenanigans that are likely to unfold and pick up 1 or 2 spots, find yourself into the invert. Here comes Kerr across the line. Let's see what he can do. Corey Lazarus has moved up into 4th spot. That's the other point that I wanted to make. Finally, we're seeing what Corey can bring to the table for everybody to see here. He's finally having a qualifying session that he'd be quite pleased with by his own standards, as we pick up the prominent front runner of this series, the dominant force at qualifying, Damon Woods, not content with the 1 minute 32.616. Hoping to improve on that. He would, but actually there he is. He's parking, is he? Yes.
Yeah, with 1 minute 33, wouldn't be around to get another lap. So everyone crossing the line now is on final attempts here to cross. And critically for Damon Woods in the championship, the drivers inside the top 5, none of them outside of Damon Woods are starting inside of the top 9. Zach Kerr is his nearest challenger in 10th place. Can you believe that here in qualifying? Jack Widders currently 3rd at the moment, looking to improve. 32 flat first sector, 33.7 on the second, looking to get this to chuck to the line, and he gets a little bit wide there over the berm as he crosses over. 133.4 is not going to be enough to go and get more improvement. The likes of Jackson Raihana trying to improve right now is down on the 33.9, and so isn't going to get that one to go either, but it's going to be about the final stages. Eskandari can put himself up in the noisy seats if he wants to go and get this sorted. He crosses the line on a 33.6, which isn't quite what he was hoping for on attempt, but you've got drivers like Seth Brown, who's 6th in the championship. He's down there in 25th place. Hayden Bell can't improve either. We'll see the likes of Seb Varndell making a push with a 34.1. He's not going to get there. Zach Hanlon neither will get that one sorted. So a qualifying that is going to absolutely shake up the noisy element of it. Tom Bewley will be the last car over, and he gets a 33.1, which won't be enough to improve. But my goodness me, has everything just come up 56 today as far as qualifying and race 1 is going to be concerned, because Damon Woods in the number 56 has got himself a qualifying he can be proud of. He's clear by 2 1/4 tenths of a second over Hugo Allen for Auto Moves Racing Team, who are making some big moves in the drivers' market internationally. Jack Widders then is going to be 3rd, with Corey Lazarus then in 4th position, making it 2 of the Auto Moves cars on the right side of the grid, as Tom Bewley will line up 5th for Momentum, and Danny Davison for Max Boost is there in 6th. You've then got Byron Pearce, no stranger to the podium. He's 7th, with Dean Mackay for OPRX Gamma Flare in 8th. Your top 10 rounded out by Reese Wakefield and Zach Kerr. Over then to 11th and 12th, where you see Rick Kuznetsov there with Hayden Veld for Eclipse Sim Sports, I would say Zandvoort specialist, as Ben Pedersen for Riot is then with Sebastian Eskandari 13th and 14th. Ewan Baker and Sam Muir will house themselves then on row number 8, with Marino Morella in 17th, and Zach Rattray White having to get this started from 18th on the grid. Then you got 2 Vermilion cars in Sam Chapman and Antal Sabo, as into 21st position will be Miles Burgess and Tice Hodge then in 22nd. You've then got Dylan Shepherd, who's a little bit out of position in 23rd. Ryan Jones always seeming to make places up. He'll go in 24th, with Angus Lawford, the man on the outside looking in the championship top 20. He's 21st. He starts 25th, with Seth Brown there in 26th position. And then on row 14, Pat Klein for Synergy and Jackson Raihana there in 28th place. Zachary Hanlon and Sebastian Varndell 29th and 30th, as 31st and 32nd will be Lockhart Brownlee and Stuart Ellis. You've then got row 17, which sees Lachlan Capel and Stefan McCartain in the Lightning McQueen helmet. Kachow, he will be trying to move on up with Harry Lawrence and Brock Gilchrist back there 35th and 36th. Not the qualifying that Gilchrist wanted. Scott Rankin then will be 37th, and a chance to say Simon Mazzomo 9-5, then holding their drivers away. And so they have all moved over to Synergy Sim Racing, which actually feels a very bit of a tender point in my heart. And we'll talk about that later on in the racing with Jared McLeod and Josh Perwin making up the 40. And so the safety cars and race controls all there and set up. No time for a grid walk today, Zach.
No.
What are you expecting here? Turn 1, turn 2 is going to be a really aggressive affair.
Yep. Either they're going to play the long game and think about the fact that it's 16 laps, not 16 corners, or we're going to have chaos and carnage from the outset, Jake. One of the two. I thought Sebastian Eskandari recovered well, despite getting cleaned up by Sam Chapman early in qualifying to find himself in the top 15. That's a get-out-of-jail-free card, essentially. But let's see if Damon Woods can continue his dominance of sprint race number 1 of the championship round so far.
9th race of the championship, and we get ourselves underway. Good start there from the second row. Jack Widders was absolutely on it there. One car's not gone off of the start there in the back. Everyone has managed to avoid Sebastian Varndell, who has run into troubles, but they get through Tarzan without any troubles. But it's Gerlach and Hugenholt that starts becoming the big scrap point out there as everyone looks to try and find the angle. There's a spinner in the back, and I'm not quite sure who it was. Rattray White was just about available to avoid Ewan Baker, the one who goes around as they climb the hill for the first time.
So, a couple of spinners already. They're trying to sort themselves out. 3-2 wide in most parts. Contact up the top, and one of the OPR cars finds itself in the grass. Miles Burgess, very nice recovery though. Got away with it, still lost 2 spots, but it could have been so much worse. Woods breaks clear, leads the field. Zach Kerr up in a 9th spot, and Reese Wakefield up into 10th. You mentioned the start from Jack Vidas. He's done very nice to tuck in behind Hugo Allen there. Top 4 remain as they started, but there's already a couple of tails to tell and a couple of salvage missions underway.
Very much so, and everyone's looking to try and get themselves positioned right harder side by side with Miles Burgess, Lockhart Brownlee and Hayden Bell just behind. Bell will have a lot of work to do to pull himself back as they go into Hans Ernst here, this right and then the left. And you've got to try and get this drive coming out of the exit. If you fail that, it's going to be a very devilishly difficult day at the office. And the slide then for Lockhart Brownlee then takes a good close look at Miles Burgess and says, right, I want this. And now so too does Hayden, because they're thinking about 3 wide along the main run to Tarzan. Look at him in the back, 3, almost 4 back there as they try and figure it out. No love lost, as there's going to be a shove out then of Miles Burgess, loses 1, 2, 3 spots, sneaking down the inside there, Stuart Ellis.
I'm amazed at how, all things considered, clean that was. Sebastian Varndell on pit road, Scott Rankin on pit lane early in the piece as well. Our commentary colleague Brock Gilchrist in trouble on the opening lap, down in 38th place. And as Jay mentioned in our ears, it was Ewan Baker, the first one caught up in an incident. He's 37th right now. So those guys with a lot of work to do. Rankin can't seem to buy any luck either in the early stages here. Damon Woods, Hugo Allen, Jack Vidas, Tom Bewley. No change at the top. Bewley's got by Lazarus. That's the only change to the top 5 so far. Byron Pearce, Dean Mackay, Danny Davison, Zach Kerr and Reese Wakefield. We've got our eyes on Corey Lazarus. About time is all I'm going to say. I don't want to put the mic on him, the commentator's curse. It's just nice to see him at the pointy end, bringing what he has done on so many occasions previously in other Porsche championships to the table in the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational.
Oh, you'll get done for that one. You'll get absolutely done for that one. Ewan Baker, nothing to go. Hayden Bell just gets pushed out by Ben Benson. Yep. Grabs the wall, and then everyone's just got to fan out. Look at it. It's the parting of the waves around. It's almost a case of watching there the Lion King, where you get Simba in the middle, and then all of the wildebeest go flying past.
It was like, when you said the tides parting, it was almost like watching high tide go to the left and low tide go to the right. talking about the undulation and the banking of the circuit in that reference. Reese Wakefield, that's interesting, isn't it? As soon as you lose any sort of momentum, especially early on in the race, doesn't matter where you are in the world, you get gobbled up, spat out, and you're trying to recover ground for the balance of the night. It'll be interesting to see what the stewards make of the early carnage that we have seen.
We've got one.
Yep.
Ben Pedersen has been given 10 seconds post-race sack.
Ooh, that's going to hurt, Benny. He's currently sitting down there in at 13.
He's just got around.
Contact with
Ben Pedersen's just got around, sorry. That's going to be at turn 9, and there he is, just trying to wait to safely join back circuit again. Disaster then. So not only does he drop the time, and he's got to work to get it back, he'll get 10 seconds at the end of this race, and there's a reason why you've got to keep pushing even if you get a penalty, as he just ran it in too deep, caught the back of Eskandari and unsettled himself. It's because the penalties are not administered for the grid position, they're just post-race.
They are indeed, and you can forget about the lockup. Brownlee kicking up a little bit of kitty litter there on the way through. Currently sitting down in 28th, chasing Stefan McCartan at the moment. Pedersen rejoined in 26th, so he was 13th. He's dropped to 26th. Here's the replay from the angle of Zach Hanlon a few moments ago. Angus Lawford with a dive bomb down on the inside, and, oh, geez, a bit of hip and shoulder, but relatively clean in the grand scheme of things. Very forceful, exactly what we spoke about earlier. You've got to get the elbows out of here, Zandvoort. You're seeing already, how difficult it is for the drivers to break clear of the chasing pack, Jake, but also just how hard it is to execute and then consolidate. It's like the great Murray Walker once said, overtaking, catching is one thing, overtaking is quite another. And this is a perfect illustration of that, this entire bit of motor racing real estate in the Netherlands.
Yeah. This is Ben Pedersen on the brakes, just slightly in too deep, catches the back, and then that unsettles him, loosens him up, and then nowhere to go then through the middle, and that sees him around. So Corey Lazarus then down into 6th, because Byron Pierce is on the move, gets himself into the top 5, bounding over the grass on the outside is Dean Mackay. This battle for 8th goes all the way back to the guy in 13th place. Hello, remember me, Zach Rattray-White. He's up 5 spots in this race, and he only needs another 3 here, Zach, to basically have a chance to redeem his night, to go and get back through on the top 10 reverse.
So that could be a big get-out-of-jail-free card for Zach Rattray-White. Have a look at this up on the outside. Sebastian Eskandari also on the comeback truck, trying to get by Rick Kuznetsov here, side by side down the main straight. Does that. But Rick Kuznetsov, Rick Kuznetsov's just dropped 2 spots, Jake. So I'm not sure what's going on there, because he's dropped behind Zach Rattray-White as well. And Antal Sabo has dropped back to 14th. Eskandari up to 11th and Rattray-White to 12th. So 1 position gained for Rattray-White. Now the assignment is 2 more to get himself in that England. Zach Baker
on the main straight. Ewan Baker is stopped with a massive shunt up. They're going to have to throw a safety car for it. They have to throw one for it. That's a huge accident on the main straight.
Simon Mesmo has picked himself up a black flag invoice as well. That'll be a drive-through penalty. Safety car deployed. It's not a stop-go, it's a drive-through penalty for Simon Mesmo. Safety car deployed, unsurprisingly. We can't continue running under green flag conditions with the car parked right on the racing line. Now, how did that happen? More to the point, we'll get to the bottom of that in just a moment. But the Synergy Sim Racing entry, which has been in trouble in the wars since the start of the race, Jake, it's not going to play any further part. Let's have a look at this. Coming onto the main straight, the OG gear replay. Squeeze job. Yep. Bang.
And then, it's a horrible hit. Oh, he hits the side of the guardrail and not the main part of it as well. That's even worse. But Lachlan Capel there for Orbit Drop there was the one trying to hold the defence. Now, the question's going to be, did he leave racing room on the inside, yes or no? I argue, no, he didn't. Was he entitled to, or was there overlap by the time that he made that commitment? That's where race control's going to have a look. So on board with Zach Hanlon, this will tell you all you need to know here. Because you've got to get yourself, I would argue, to the A pillar to be entitled room on the straight. Moving across, he's not there. Ewan Baker's driven himself into a hole basically there. I think Lachlan Capel was entitled to move across and close the space.
It'll be interesting to see what race control does with that one, Jake. I mean, obviously it's hard, right, because you've only got so much real estate to work with. The car got unsettled on the inside and then clipped the Armco after that. So it's one of those interesting ones. There's more to the story we're just hearing through our earpiece from Jay Kennedy, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Let's have a look at this again.
So this is going to be Hanlon first and foremost, who's going to get moved out. So here's the move by Lachlan Capel. So that's the first little hit. Now watch the second part here. Whoa, he has to abandon stage right there to get out of the way, and then suddenly Capel's got the guard up here, and he's going right. Well, it's elbows out, and he's frillier than a lizard.
Yep, so let's play it through again and give everybody at home another look at it, because you can see the defence work starts there on the inside. That's fair, that's fine, not a problem. Once that Porsche gets into no man's land, tries to get out of no man's land, knowing that he's got not much room to work with on the right-hand side, bang, into the wall, and from there you are, unfortunately, a passenger, and that's a wild ride that Ewan Baker's not going to forget very quickly, and unfortunately it sets him up for a date with the very back of the grid for the start of race 2. And thankfully, Jake, only 1 or 2 laps there behind the safety car. We've completed lap 6 at the end of this lap, only 2/3 of the race to go, and once more Damon Woods with an opportunity to break clear of the chasing pack, but it's a tremendous second chance for Hugo Allen and Jack Vitas to go with him.
Well, a lightning fast safety car period here, and I think they realise we're on a time cut, so we've got to get things done quickly here today. So Woods, Allen, Winnett, Tom Bewley, Byron Pierce, who's had a good run, back up to speed. Great launch there by Damon Woods. Look at this, shuffling, trying to get everything away, and they are all going to now overlap here on the run to turn 1. You've got Eskandari, for example, side by side with Reece Wakefield. They'll dive in. Byron Pierce just about gets himself into line. They'll work over to Gerlach. You've got Raihana 3 wide on the outside. He's going to lose out big time there with Shepard and Ryan Jones having their straps. So they'll now move into the Hugenholz then second time around, and hopefully give yourself enough room to go out there and attack. Because fight's got the top end, and there goes one of the Vermilion cars, one of the Eclipse cars.
It's only a matter of time. Seth Brown drops down to 33rd position at the best out of all of that. Great restart for Damon Woods. Hugo Allen tucked up in a second spot. Jack Vitas, Tom Bewley, Byron Pierce. So Pierce is the big winner out of this restart. Corey Lazarus drops down to 6th, but still, as far as I can recall, that'll be his best finish of the season if he can remain there. He wants to keep his nose clean, but then he wants to get the elbows out and go racing as well. Back down on the inside, trying to get by on Byron Pierce was Corey Lazarus. Elbows out racing, this is what we like to see.
And Corey Lazarus needs to get the elbows out, because I have to keep scrolling down to find him. He's 42nd in the championship on 200 points. So he's got a lot to do. Big kick it out from Lazarus though. This will open up Dean Mackay with a chance then to go on forward. 018 has been given a pit lane penalty then. So that'll be Lachlan Capel, who will have to come down in, serve the penalty and go out. They ruled it on the leading car there, which I think is a little bit harsh, but he was driving very aggressive for it. Back on the main straight here, lap 8 of 18, almost halfway, and lunges available, because here comes the pass then from Zach Kerr. Down the inside, and Danny Davis. Oh, Wakefield gets a shove in the door.
Oh, this is good stuff. Hard stuff, and no doubt.
Trouble! Take third place! All to the outside it goes. It's trouble for Jack Winners.
Oh boy, can you believe that? No luck for Jack.
Happening.
Best qualifying of the season, more cars involved. Winners is going to be able to get out of there, but any hopes of a podium finish have fallen by the wayside. 3 cars caught up in that. Jared McLeod, one of the others, so too an OPR entry, and all hell has broken loose. Down on the inside.
What's rule 1, Zach? Don't hit your teammate.
Correct. Yep. Well, actually, rule number 1 is have fun, and rule number 2 is don't hit your teammate, but it depends on what sort of level of competition you're competing in, I guess. But yes, no, that's a big no-no. I don't envy those boys for the upcoming debrief at the end of tonight's racing. Corey Lazarus now the beneficiary of that, up into 4th, and could be, along with Hugo Allen, about to add their names to our podium finishers list in season 2026. The OPR entry got checked up, trying to steer clear of the carnage to the outside, came down and got collected in the process. And unfortunately, all those people trying to get through that part of the circuit would have been under yellows as well, Jake. Racing incidents, that happens. Everybody checking up, reflex response time, all coming into question. I'm sure race control will review that, but very hard to throw the book at anyone trying to take evasive action.
What a fight for the bubble, and that's the contact that breaks the camel's back into the safer barrier. Goes Danny Davison, and that is going to be him.
Ratway White's gone.
And Zach Ratway White in trouble too.
Yep, he got turned around. He was sideways. You'll see it on replay with thanks to OG Gear. He was sliding through turn 3, Jake. So it was a double moment. The kitty litter for 1. Ratway White, watch this on replay with thanks to OG Gear. Have a look at this. This was inevitable. They couldn't keep going this aggressively without it coming to this. Bang.
And then Zach Ratway White on the outside. Oh, he just gets attacked for his troubles there. Caught on the outside on a very fine line. So if you put yourself up on the top there at the Hugenholz turn 3, the higher up you go, the better it is. Into the gravel, both goes the line set of, I believe that was Tice Hodge there in trouble. And now, look at this, Dylan Shepherd it was. He's now having to be uber aggressive on the defence because that's Marino Morella.
So Rick Kuznetsov is now potentially staring down an invert pole position. Tice Hodge back to 19th in all of this. There's Sam Chapman. What a recovery from Chapman. Up into 17th, 16th now down on the inside, back onto the main straight. Marino Morella, the next target for him. He's just got by Jackson Rayhana and Hayden Veld. Oh, this is one of those nights where it's going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons. 3 wide to turn 1 at Chapman down on the inside of Rayhana. Some breakout results happening left, right and centre. A couple of other drivers leaving with their tail dangling between their legs. And we've got no idea what's still coming our way, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of those open playing field sort of nights. So many breakout results, so many twists and turns in the narrative of the season that is the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational. And this is only round 5, the start of the second third of the championship. And the aggression, the mongrel, is of the highest possible level at this point. And there's still one race to go, Jake, not least 8 laps left in this one.
Well, I'll just say with calm, Damon Woods is 1.3 seconds clear of Hugo Allen, who they themselves are nearly 5 seconds clear of Bewley, Lazarus and Pierce. This is the battle going through then at turn 9 over towards turn 10. Big lunge to the inside then at Simon Mazzomo, trying to get himself a pass then over on Josh Kerwin, and he'll be looking around. You should be passing, and the answer is no. I'm losing one at the moment because Ben Pedersen is going to go to the outside here, trying to get this launch, trying to get himself down to the inside, and he says, yeah, I'm going to have that one because my role in today's race, I'm going to try to stay alive. Corey Lazarus then, here in 4th place, looking backwards, not the way he wants to be going, because here comes Byron Pierce to the inside, gets alongside the door, scrapes a bit of blue and black paint on the lovely pink and white, and over into Gerlach. Now it's going to be tough because the outside wins the line here. What a block pass that is from Lazarus. Held that a treat.
And now Byron Pierce has to reset and go again. And this is the thing, Corey Lazarus, the points standings at the moment and where he sits in this championship, not a fair reflection of the calibre of driver he is, and the fact that he is a Porsche racing specialist. Keep an eye on him. That was brilliant to defend Byron Pierce, and Pierce has been one of the great breakout performers throughout the GT Pro last year, the Porsche Pro this season, but he's got his work cut out for him here now that Corey Lazarus is on song and humming along nicely. He'll work hard. He'll earn his stripes here if he's to find a way through the staunch defence of the 0-4.
So, find a way, any way, to go and get it done, because we'll be at 7 laps to go next time across the line, or 11 minutes 45, because remember, we've had a safety car period. We are laps or time today on this, and they will be having a little bit of a question mark of how much time do we actually have left in this race to go and make it happen. Sam Muir at the moment for Synergy Sim Racing. He's eyeing up one here on Antal Sabo. Sabo +9, +4 for Muir. Zach Ashton right back. So where do you want to go? Just defending here, there, and everywhere along the straight. Muir to the inside, but Antal Sabo is not giving this one up without a fight. He's trying to work the outside, but the Oracle decides to run out. And now here at Gerlach turn 2, once again, hold it steady, has to scrub the speed, trying to get to the inside to cover the line. But again, the outside's going to get a better run off the exit. We're going to be 3 wide off the exit. Big block thrown on Zach Rattray White.
And Rattray White, of course, trying to work his way back into that top 10. Had his hands on a invert starting position a few moments ago till that contact at turn 3. Now, trying to work his way back through on Antal Sabo, who's not going to work in Rattray White's favour. He's not going to make it easy for him here. He's trying to get by Sam Muir. Everybody's got their own agenda. Rattray White to the inside and then locked it up, crossed up, caught the wheel, caught the position, consolidates 12, and then gets a nudge for his trouble.
Sabo's not happy there with the contact at the corner, and he's driven at the door there of Zach Rattray White, who's immediately making race control aware of that. Antal Sabo's lost his head. Oh, there's a spinner in front, it's Tom Bewley.
Oh, wow. So Bewley drops off the podium, which brings Corey Lazarus onto the podium, Jake. Now, you'll notice in the top left-hand side of your screen there, folks, the clock is counting down. We're inside the final 10 minutes. But we are also inside the final third of the race. We are on lap 13 of 18, so provided we don't get another safety car, this race runs full distance. Down the main straight we go. Bewley now drops out of the invert. Rattray White moves to 11th. Now more forceful, aggressive running on the inside between, I reckon that was Rayhana and Hodge. Hodge down on the inside gets by Rayhana, and Rayhana was very mindful of the penalty that was handed out earlier for being too defensive, hugging the inside of the racetrack when you've got an overtaking car trying to make their way through, and gave good racing room.
Oh, just catching the inside curb there, and it's an anti-cut curb for Tom Bewley, and look at what now goes on for the podium, because Byron Pierce is through on Corey Lazarus. What a run Byron's had, and he's no stranger to podium. Zach Kerr, for all the money in the world, he needs this. This is big for his championship right now, if he can get himself up on the podium here. Currently looking for 2 auto-move cars up there, and look at it, it's just drive off the exit of the Hugenholz. It's so important, that corner, with the new updates to the circuit done about 5-6 years back.
Have a look at them. The level of aggression, we mentioned it earlier, that they were going to have to
big
be.
Big one at the back. Antal Sabo's around.
Okay, there'll be more to that. There'll be more to that, and if he wasn't already agitated, he will be now. Hayden Veld also plummeting down the order back to 22nd position, and all hell breaking loose here. And that car of Hayden Veld's, he's going to be able to limp it back to the lane. Oh my goodness, the amount of drivers, Jake, now staring down a date with the back of the grid in a really hard uphill task and battle in race 2. It's a growing list. And unfortunately for Hayden Veld, he was looking good earlier, and any chances of a promising result have evaporated in the blink of an eye. Have a look at this.
So Sabo's lost it all on his own. He's just been too eager on the power here, so he's trying to fight it back, trying to catch it. Hayden Veld just catches him wrong place, wrong time. And there's the hit, and they both find their boxes. I look at that positions gain. There is only 1 bar of red, which is Tom Bewley. Everybody else inside the top 10, or top 20 even, are net even, Zach, or they've gained places. That is mental.
It absolutely is. I mean, 11 spots for Lockhart Brownlee, 12 for Jackson Rayhana, 11 for Dylan Shepherd. So for those guys to be in double digits, that's a massive, massive positive spring in their step. +4 for Byron Pierce to get himself a berth with the podium. And Corey Lazarus, he has finally broken that defense of Lazarus to get through onto the top step, onto the bottom step of the podium, I should say. But Lazarus has now got his work cut out just to try and hold on to 4th. Look at that chasing pack. Kerr, Mackay, Wakefield's in there as well. Eskandari, Wakefield, Eskandari, and also Lazarus are three guys that we haven't spoken about with regards to our podium finishes so far this season. Hugo Allen, second at the moment. Best result of the season, loading for him. He would be the 11th different driver to bag a podium so far this season, and that man is staring down an invert pole position for Synergy Sim Racing, the great man, Sam Muir.
He'd definitely love that, would Sam, in the 182. It would give him so much confidence. He comes into today 18th in the championship, so this would give him some security on the bubble. Reece Wakefield here in 7th, now looking to eye this up, down to 6 minutes 20 and 4 laps to go, which when they're doing 1:34 lap times, I think we're okay in terms of hitting the lap count. But Wakefield here, I think, eyeing up a top 5, and these OPR Gamma Flare cars are sitting back here going, you know what, this could be a great day for us as a team if we can just leapfrog and find a way to get through. But these massive battle packs are forming up here, and they're not formed in the sense of, oh, it's natural pace. It's formed of, well, this is how hard we're going to battle.
And it's at an all-time level at the moment. I mean, we got an indication in the start of the series, didn't we, that these guys weren't willing to leave anything on the table. They were willing to go out there and be aggressive from the outset. But we've finally reached a point in the season where you've got to turn that corner. If you haven't had a good start of the season, you've got to start making inroads. You've got to up the level of aggression. Plus, combine that with the fact that we're on a circuit which requires more forceful racing than usual. All ingredients for, well, headaches for race control and entertainment plus for us. Sebastian Eskandari, importantly, Jake, back up into the top 10 now, and Rick Kuznetsov sits 9th. Rick Kuznetsov, of course, the winner of the feature race at the opening round of the series. And Sebastian Eskandari, a young star on the rise, might finally get his chance. Starting at the pointy end of the field here, and let's see what he can do with some sort of clear air. Here's Dean Mackay.
6th place, looking for a way to 5th here. Gerlach, turn 2, the Hugenholz then, turn 3, and they'll all take the same line, really hook it up, get the drive off the exit here, and it's all about that drive. It's going to give you the difference maker as you head over to this section. Right, making up over the top of the brow, and you hit She Black corner, which is just one of the most beautiful driving corners in the world. You see a sea of gravel on your left-hand side you go through, and now you're into this tricky middle sector. Masters, turn 9, you've just done 4 right-hand corners when you do turn 9 in a row, and finally your tyres get a reprieve as you get a left.
And you mentioned tyre wear as a critical aspect to how tonight plays out, more so probably in the 24-lap race, because you've got to go that extra 6 laps. Again, this one on the 18. I think I misspoke earlier and said 16. Apologies for that. But yeah, on the 18 laps here. But still, these tyres will be begging for a break once we get to the end of this race. Damon Woods is broken clear. He's doing Damon Woods things. He's clear by 3 seconds. Hugo Allen's 4 seconds clear of Byron Pearce, who's clear of Corey Lazarus and Zach Kerr. We've picked up Kerr chasing Lazarus back round to the main straight. 2 laps to go in the Netherlands. Our 5th round of the championship, our 9th race of the season, our 5th stop in Europe, our only one in the Netherlands for this season, ladies and gentlemen. Zach Kerr in the thick of it here at the moment. If he stays where he's at, he's staring down a 3rd row start. 6th place on the grid for the invert, which is coming up very shortly. But as we've already seen so far tonight, I don't think these guys are willing to play the processional long game here, so expect another move or 2 between now and the checkered flag.
I would do, and Antal Sabo, who has retired the car from the race, gets an extra 15 seconds then in his back pocket as well, so he'll be even further back with that result. As right now Bewley makes a pass on Dylan Shepherd up at Sheeblack, gets into 12th as Kerr in 5th, holds himself steady. There's Stuart Ellis down then in pit lane as well at this moment. There's Dylan Shepherd losing the place, but Tom Bewley of his own accord from podium now to 12th will be staring at Zach Rattray White going, yeah, this is the what could it be.
Yep, and minding you that Zach Rattray White, as we have a look at the OG Gear replay, and down into turn 3, Stuart Ellis into trouble and pirouetting around, contact with the Logitech G Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport entry that was just ahead of him. White flag flies one more time around. Damon Woods leads us as per usual, and I say that because standard procedure in this series so far, we've seen it throughout the first 4 rounds. Why not make it 5? And it'll be the first 1-5 victory so far this season. We'll have to analyse exactly the fallout from what this means for the championship, given that all of his nearest championship contenders started well outside the top 9. Zach Ratway-White in 11th, importantly, Jake, is now only 7/10 of a second away from Sam Muir. So if something was to change on this final lap and he was able to find his way into the top 10, it'd be a massive talking point going into race 2.
It really would do. Mackay looking for a way into that top 5. Muir now with a gap of about a second, should be clear of Zach Ratway-White, but there could be anything that happens in this group that makes the difference happen. We've not seen a lick of him all race long. He's just not paid any attention. It's the greatest compliment you can give a driver of his caliber, to say, we don't need to look at you, you're too good, you're too quick, there's no action around you, you're absolutely flying once again. And so this is going to be the wake-up call for everybody else. If it's been 4 buckets of cold water, well, here's 5 ice blocks that's going to hit the heads of every championship contender out there, because Damon Woods, you can say here in the Netherlands he's quite great. He might think it's Hawaii, because it's the big 5 that he gets here. 5 race ones in a row to start the season for Damon Woods. He puts a clinic on ahead of Hugo Allen and Byron Pierce, getting to the podium for the 3rd time this season.
And again, a 3rd place finish. So he's very consistent with racking up what they would call in the Olympics or the Commonwealth Games, a bronze medal, Jake. That's 3 of them for Byron Pierce. And a 2nd place finish for Hugo Allen. His first podium finish of the campaign. 11 different drivers now with a podium finish through 9 races. And Sam Muir with an invert pole position. And he's no slouch in a Porsche either. So cannot wait to see what he does from P1 alongside Rick Kuznetsov, the round 1 feature race winner, also benefiting from that invert front row start back then in Germany. And Stuart Ellis, we're hearing, is going to have a pit lane start as well for that feature race. So, unfortunately, instead of restarting his car, he's accidentally escaped to the pit lane. You can't do that in this caper without receiving direct discretion and consent and permission from race control in order to do that. Yes, it is a mistake, but you still wear the invoice accordingly. So he's got a pit lane start, and there's a whole host of drivers starting well down the order that have got to try and work their way back through this field over 24 laps. Damon Woods 2.9, the winning margin. Hugo Allen and Byron Pierce the podium. I'm so pleased for Corey Lazarus. Finally, a result that reflects what he brings to the table in a Porsche Cup race. And then have a look, Zach Ratway-White, that's the story for mine. So near yet so far. Had it not been for that incident, Jake, he might have been in that invert himself.
He very much could have done. We're on quick fire here with Simon Mazzomo down there 25th, Harry Lawrence. It's got Rankin down there 31st, all the way down to the likes of Ewan Baker, Antal Sabo and co, who all now look to set themselves up. The grid is there and ready. Muir and Kuznetsov, new team for Sam Muir, moving from 9.5 to Synergy. What a way to kickstart this off for the season on the pole, with Eskandari, Wakefield, Mackay, Kerr, Lazarus, Pierce, Allen and Woods, your top 10. They know they've got to add an extra 6 laps in the back pocket for this, and they'll look to get themselves gridded up. Dylan Shepherd has missed the start, and so he's going to be having to go from pit lane, and a handful of drivers have done so. Green flag in the air, and we're underway for this race 2. Bad start by Sam Muir. Kuznetsov immediately through. 3 wide it's going to be here over towards turn 1 as Eskandari looking to the outside now to try and get this done. Lovely start, an aggressive start to this one, with Wakefield now 3rd, covers off the beam there to Eskandari as they now look to drive on in aggressive for this second part, working through into the Hugen holes now and trying to get themselves clearance. A lot easier of a start than what we saw here in race 1.
Much cleaner. Good to see. Corey Lazarus shuffled out of it back into 10th spot. We're watching the order. Jigged and jagged like a yo-yo at the moment. Car kicking up some grass over the top of the crest through that first sector. Rick Kuznetsov, Eskandari, then Reese Wakefield, Sam Muir, Byron Pierce, Hugo Allen, Zach Kerr, the top 7 so far. And we've sorted ourselves out a lot quicker than what we did in race 1. A lot more line of stern, one by one, single file running through the first 15, 16 cars in this field, but then it gets a little bit interesting further back. We picked up the 1-9 entry. That was Dean Mackay back there in 13th spot. You've just picked him up. And Sebastian Eskandari chasing Rick Kuznetsov.
Yeah, he wants a way in, and there's going to be contact there back for Damon Woods. He's going to have to go scattering across the gravel, then in avoiding trouble. Then it's going to be Bewley trying to get in. That's going to create a 3-wide moment behind as well, and sneaking away through that is Marino Morella as he gets by. You've got Tom Bewley in the mix, Kai Todd all there, but that was very aggressive by Corey Lazarus and not exactly what was needed. Now for a big cross of the beam. Oh my God, what a pass by Eskandari. He's far too deep though, and Kuznetsov gets it back.
Yep, that was unlucky. Right incentive, right initiative, and now trying to get it done at turn 2. Geez, that's hairy. That's antsy. He'll try and get the momentum around the outside through turn 3. Kuznetsov goes round. Can you believe that? Ewan got gobbled up as well. He's dropped back to 4th. Wakefield and Kuznetsov go through. Oh my goodness me. Kuznetsov back down outside the top 20 now. Hugo Allen through to 2nd, and we've got a car stop. That's Byron Pearce pulled up. I think we're going to have to neutralise this race and pack the... Oh, no, he's towed. He's towed.
He didn't have control for that. He didn't get race control for that.
No, he's come back. What the hell's going on there?
So he's blinked out. He's come back. He's got enough pace to go forward. Right, calm yourselves, gentlemen, because this is now how the field looks. Eskandari with a massive margin over Hugo Allen. Hugo Allen, by the way, here, Zach, he's already up to 2nd. Let's take a look at this on lap 1.
Magnificent start from Hugo Allen. We'll get back to that in a moment. This was Dean Mackay's moment. Got helped out onto the grass. Slight tap from... I'm just trying to identify who that was that gave him the tap through. But once he lost that ground, he was on the grass, and then all of a sudden, he's a sitting duck. He's got back onto the racetrack and done so safely. But you saw how many cars went past him in the process, ladies and gentlemen. Just extraordinary. Good recovery. Press on, try and recover, salvage something out of what's left of this race. Miles Burgess back up into 13th spot now. Byron Pearce drops down to 36th after coming unstuck there. Now, that's still interesting for mine because he had that Blinky Bill moment. We thought he dropped off the face of the planet and towed, but no, he's been able to get back on the black. Some trouble.
Huge accident up there, and everyone's going to have to scatter and scarper again. Byron Pearce, I think right now by his measure of scoring here is way down in his marks, and our graphics aren't covering where that is because it's a huge moment up there. Sorry, this is around Hayden Bell, this is around Brock Gilchrist then, and they're still going to be in the gravel trying to avoid troubles then. That's going to be Harry Lawrence who is ending up being shoved out then at the moment. Sorry, Seb Varndale shoved out as far as that one goes. So Varndale finding himself with all sorts of worries out there at that point, but goodness gracious me, they are all looking to try and go through, and look at the damage here for Miles Burgess here. He's limping with damage.
So another casualty for the rate of attrition tonight. Corey Lazarus picks up a 5-second penalty. We've got one car parked up there on the right-hand side of the circuit, not going any further. That's Denny Davison, and that might require a safety car. He's got a mechanical meatball flag. Stephen McCartan, Jack Vittis, and Miles Burgess also showing with mechanical meatball flags next to their name at the moment. We're down to 37 on the racetrack, if you can believe that. Pat Klein, the last of those. Massive damage for Stephen McCartan. 5 seconds we've just found out for Corey Lazarus. Sebastian Eskandari leads this race. The contact was with Damon Woods. You saw that at the end of lap 1, at the end of the back straight in that dogleg section of the circuit. And a replay of the race start from Zach Hanlon's perspective now on the OG Gear replay. Let's have a look at this. We yet haven't been able to identify just how good that start has been from Hugo Allen. The fact that he's +8 already. Zach Hanlon, let's watch the start from his standpoint here. Oh, he got hip and shouldered on the inside at turn 1.
Wrong place, wrong time, and ultimately down to the back. Safety car gets deployed, and so for Danny Davidson there on the outside, they say there's no way he's going to get it back, and this field is going to neutralised, which for Hugo Allen will be a big shame because Damon Woods is back there in 7th and Zach Rattray-White in 6th. And in fact, Damon Woods then would have been eyeing the Sam Muir, who just lost the place to Zach Rattray-White. So a chance to bring the field together, and it has really been choppy as far as they've gone, but there have been some big gainers. Ben Pedersen, for example, up 8, and what a run so far in this race, by the way, for Angus Lawford, the man on the bubble here. Zach started 26th in this one, and he's up to 16th. How sweet.
Plus 10 already. Magnificent gain for him so far, and a chance to reset here, Jake, and go again as well. That's probably the best thing about the deployment of the safety car here, is that those that have lost ground already, or those that are trying to redeem ground after it all went to the proverbial in race 1, and have a look at the OG Gear replay here, ladies and gentlemen. This is when it all got ugly. This was like 4 of them. Oh, dear. So that's explaining why we've got a couple of cars that ended up with mechanical meatball flags next to their name, and it ended up on pit lane with sustained damage at the end of that second lap. And just have a look at the sea of activity on pit lane right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I reckon it was, cars on pit lane already trying to repair some damage here. We said it was going to be good, but it was also going to be one of those tedious rounds, ladies and gentlemen. These guys trying to work their way through a difficult racetrack where the aggression is high, the risk is high, the reward also high for the likes of Hugo Allen.
Right.
Here, idea.
Let's take a little look then with Hugo Allen, and this is where you can get a lot of places off at the start here. So he's trying to look across, try and find his angles, his ways to go and get this sorted. You can see side by side, there's Corey Lazarus directly in front, so he's going to clear him going through Tarzan. He's then going to head to the next section here, the right then of Gerlach, and into the Hugen holes, and then this is where he's going to start just thinking about, okay, can I just pick up one here, one there, and there's one on the outside. So he's already made good progress. That puts him up to 6th place, and he's now looking to give himself a push with the Eclipse 506 of Byron Pierce. And so we're starting to wonder, okay, well, can I just stay with the group in front, And he's done well off the start, but then where he also profiteered was with the Rick Kuznetsov incident. That's where he got himself then to 2nd.
And sometimes you've got to take those opportunities when they're presented to you, mate, don't you? And there's going to be plenty of those tonight, but this explains why Corey Lazarus has picked himself up, as you said there earlier, 5 seconds. So let's have a look at the fact that, I mean, well done to Sebastian Eskandari. Great start from him. Hugo Allen, even better, like +8 around here. Yes, has benefited from a couple of incidents, sure, but good racecraft. And a little bit of luck involved in all of that. But he is there, nipping at the heels of Sebastian Eskandari. So he's either staring down a double silver for the night, or maybe he'll add his name to the winners list, be our 5th different race winner of the season, which Sebastian Eskandari could also do, which Reece Wakefield, Corey Lazarus could also do. Zach Rattray-White up into 5th now. Corey Lazarus won't, because he's got that 5-second invoice coming his way, so it could be a case of what we saw for Damon Woods at the Nürburgring. Take the checkered flag, but then get dealt the invoice. Damon Woods is 7th. So, again, I mentioned to you guys in our chat thread at the start of the day that I didn't think he would, as much as we love Damon and we know what he brings to the table, I didn't think he'd have as much luck tearing his way through the field as he has done in previous rounds of the series, in order to continue his podium streak or try and do the double, which has eluded him throughout the course of this season. Tommy Bewley sitting 9th at the moment. Tice Hodge is 10th. Jackson Rayhana back there in 12th, nipping at the heels. Ryan Jones, we haven't mentioned much of him tonight. He's back there in 7th place. Lockie Capel, after that incident late in race 1, is back in 18th. Rick Kuznetsov, after that spin at the start of this race, down in 19th spot. And a case very much of what might have been for him. Here's the OG Gear replay with Brock Gilchrist this time, ladies and gentlemen. So more argy. He'll ride the curb. Oh, dear.
Yeah, and then he gets chucked out, and then he's got to slide out about, and everyone's got to try and scatter and avoid. And this circuit here, Zach, I'm just going to put this to you right now. It feels like a street circuit with just how close the guardrails are. Are these drivers giving each other enough respect?
I don't think so, but I'm not surprised either, mate. I didn't expect that to be a point of racecraft tonight because of the circumstances and the factors that we've already mentioned. Because it's a narrow bull ring, because overtaking opportunities are limited, because people are already starting to feel championship points pressure. There's the 1-9 entry getting all crossed up and out of shape. And, unfortunately, just nowhere to go for some of the oncoming traffic that were committed to taking that high banking line through turn 3. So, no, I'm not surprised in the slightest with the lack of respect and the high level of aggression we've seen out there tonight. We're at that point of the championship where that's going to become more prominent, particularly, Adelaide's another example that I can think of immediately off the top where guys are going to have to get the elbows out. Maybe the Miami International Autodrome as well, another street circuit technically because of how close the concrete lies to the bitumen. But the good news here is we're about to get this race back underway. Let's hope that is the last time we see the safety car this evening, Jake.
Sebastian Eskandari in control, Hugo Allen directly behind, Wakefield, Lazarus, Rattray White, Muir, Wood is how your top 7 sit. Long old hole for Eskandari, and it's now starting to overlap some drivers. Now he gets the launch off of the get-go and says, right, up to pace, I'm going to be straight away. Who was good on the restart? Tom Bewley, to my mind, was. And we'll see who gets a good run into turn 1, top 5, all good. To the outside will go Damon Woods, and there's the side-by-side between Dean Mackay there and Tom Bewley. Bewley's going to have to go around the outside with Hugenholz, and in the middle there, the Project 36 car looking to get involved. Angus Norfolk and Brian Jones now head to the Hugenholz here, and aggro is the aim of the game with some 2-wide battling.
And trouble gone! It just looked a little bit untidy. Massive damage to the rear of the car and struggling to get it off the racetrack. Probably not done. And maybe that second safety car that we were dreading. The 52 not going anywhere. Can you believe this? Angus Lawford was looking good. You were just singing his praises, Jake, and then it's all gone up.
I owe him a drink, I think, after that. He's been having such a good night, but this will put him now in jeopardy for the bubble. And Eskandari knows that, again, it's going to be more laps that you can tick off then as they go forward. Oh, there's going to be more troubles. Hanlon's in the wall, in the back as well. So he's finding out how... Whoa! Who was that straight across as well? So that's going to be a massive accident then down there. So I think it's Jackson Raihana.
Yep. The 15th placed 57 drops down the order now to 18th, 19th, and Lachlan Capel will make light work of him here. I don't know exactly how the matrix of that car has come back as though it's just left the showroom floor. Surely he's going to be sustaining damage.
Look at this, they're all battling together right now. Yeah. There's Rattray White, Lazarus, Damon Woods. They're going to have to throw the safety car out now, otherwise they're all going to start careening into him. Look, they're already over at turn 3. What's race control doing out here? Look at them, they're all going to start screaming by him at this moment in time. I can't believe this.
Well, we saw a not dissimilar incident earlier in the year at the Bathurst 12 Hour, didn't we, where there was a car parked on the racetrack for about 17 seconds. There's the safety car deployed, and they're going by 2 by 2. We're very lucky that didn't end up a lot uglier, and it could well have done so. So Sebastian Eskandari still leads this race from Hugo Allen. No change at the top. Rattray White's moved up to 4th at the expense of Corey Lazarus. Damon Woods has got up into 6th at the expense of Sam Muir and Tom Bewley, and Dean Mackay and Angus Lawford, of course, sitting there waiting patiently for the all clear to be put on the tow rope and sent back to pit lane. Lap 8 of 24, so we're only 3rd race distance this time by the line. There's your championship leader, on track for possibly yet another top 5 finish in this season. But can he continue his run of podium finishes in every race? Well, the more safety cars we get, the more opportunity he gets to make inroads, the more likely that is of staying alive. Beautiful restart from Sebastian Eskandari, and the safety car finally deployed for the second time in this race, and I dare say a very quick one as well, Jake. I don't think they'll muck around here.
No, I don't think they will in terms of time, because the field is very bunched up already. I think the safety car was long in that first run that we saw of safety car running, because of the fact that the field was so spread out. There were so many incidents, so many cars trying to get back to pit. Here the field's still very much together, so I don't think there's going to be that much of a hole here behind the safety cars. They look to go forward out there. So now take a look at Zach Hanlon here and the BM Plus car, because he ends up with a lot. Now he's on the inside here of the 506, then he tries to push his way to the outside. There was already a spinner on the outside, and then gets hooked on the quarter panel.
So I'm not sure exactly who race control is going to attribute the blame to for that one. I mean, you could see that Hanlon was trying to get across to cover off, but he wasn't 100% clear of the car on the outside. And obviously, as history will show, he's ended up making contact. Byron Pierce, we're riding on board with here. So this was the car in question. Yeah. Pierce had nowhere to go. Let's be perfectly honest. If it had gone any further out to the right, he's on the ribble strips, then on the kiddie litter. So that's one of those 6 of one, half dozen of the other sort of incidents, which is unlucky for particularly Zach Hanlon, because he's the one that sustained the damage and all that, and very heavy hit considering that they weren't at full speed, Jake. But again, so narrow are the parameters here in certain parts of the circuit that when you get unsettled and end up losing control of the race car and you are a passenger, it will bite you and bite you hard. He got sent to the right-hand side, so at that point, he wasn't able to jag it back. And side on impact, that might have saved the car to a point, but he still will be feeling a little bit hamstrung at this point, I would imagine.
Right, let's get our accounts in order here. Sebastian Eskandari leads this race. Hugo Allen is second, and Reese Wakefield is third. It's then Zach Ratchway-White, Corey Lazarus, and David Woods. Sam Muir in seventh, and Tom Pewley eighth. Dean Mackay-Knight and Zach Kerr makes up your top 10. Your biggest movers, Lachlan Capel, who has really climbed up the order now. He's gone from 32nd to 18th. Hayden Bell has got double digits, as has Garrett McLeod and Stuart Ellis. They've all moved up. Now, a chance to talk orbit drop there for a moment here, Zach, because I looked around Lockhart, Brownlee, Lachlan Capel and Scott Rankin. I thought, yeah, they're doing all right this season. And then I turn and look at the championship and I see them 30th, 31st and 32nd coming into tonight and going, hang on a minute, that can't possibly be correct.
Yeah, it is rather surprising, isn't it, as we see what race control waving by some back market traffic to try and ensure that they are not impeding with the positional battles. And we're just being reminded too, by the way, that Capel did miss round one of the series due to outside commitments and circumstances. But yes, they're waving by those lap cars to ensure that they're not impeding the battle for the points and the minor and major positions in this race. Once we do get back underway, they'll rejoin at the rear of this long field train at this point in time before we get the race back underway. Time certainly kicks in 25.5 minutes. We are on lap 10 at this point. We only got back underway for one lap before we had the safety car. Jack Vittis on the OG gear replay and Stephen McCartan. Now, Vittis is wide on the outside, having already run into trouble earlier in the opening lap. Look at that. Yeah. So Vittis had already run into trouble before that. That was the second incident of the lap. And just there and then, Jake, that explains why McCartan ended up on the tow road, on pit road, with that front end damage. Massive damage. Same point as the circuit as the Hanlon incident, which is quite interesting, because that's the point we're talking about. You were talking about the OG gearboys. Yeah, it's really unfortunate, isn't it? But sometimes when luck's not on your side and you can't catch a break, and how many incidents have we seen those guys caught up in that have not been at their own doing so far this season? They are a much better outfit than what the results board would suggest at the moment, and let's hope that somewhere between now and the end of the season they get a chance to showcase that.
Absolutely. So Antal Sabo, a non-starter for this race. Jack Widders is out. as well as Danny Davidson, Stefan McCartane, who is still pulling around at 4 laps down. Miles Burgess going around at 2 laps down, and Angus Northwood then in pits. Josh Perwian on the back in at 34th position, but by the looks of things, we're getting ready for another restart here behind Sebastian Eskandari and Hugo Allen here, and it's going to look like we're more heading towards a time-certain race here with 23 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock here, because they've been allotted 45 minutes to get 24 laps in. We're on lap 10 here, heading to lap 11, which would be 14 laps to go at a rate of time of about 1 minute 35 that we're doing. Eskandari goes early though this time. He's trying to catch the exact opposite way out. And Corey Lazarus is the one who has to defend then off this restart from Damon Woods. As we get back underway then, and immediately look at what drivers are trying to do. They're not weaving to defend too much. They're weaving for tyre temp out there as they try and go. Woods on the outside, Lazarus trying to do his best to defend this one here, but heading towards turn 2. There's the respect going to the championship leader, allows him the space.
And Sam, you're under pressure from Tom Bewley as well. Now Damon Woods has his nearest opponent in the championship in his sights. Rutway White on the comeback trail in 4th. We know that Woods is well placed as far as the championship's concerned to extend his lead tonight. Hugo Allen currently on track to maybe contest for round honours here against Damon Woods, depending very much upon what Damon Woods can muster up in the final 14 laps. You're talking about time certainty. If we're running at around about 1:35 a lap, we're looking at 22 minutes and 10 seconds from lights out at the commencement of the 3rd start of this race, lap 11, to the checkered flag. So one more safety car, and yes, we're probably looking at time certainty, Jake, but at the moment, if we can stay green, we'll just scrape in.
Absolutely, and that's the key. They've got to just start behaving here and give themselves a long run to get themselves out of the malaise that they find themselves in. Working through now to Hans Ertz. This is going to be Muir looking at Tom Bewley getting a little bit out of shape. Dean Mackay is going to say, right, well, if you're going to start moving about and making errors, I'm going to want to try and walk on through and walk myself to first base on the mark of that error that goes on through. Now's the drive off the bank, Arie Luijendijk corner, named after the Dutch driver who won over at the Indy 500, and some nice side-by-side. Rick Kuznetsov on the recovery trail, getting by Lockhart Brownlee, puts him back to 14.
Yep, and they've got Ryan Jones to contend with. Their next target for them, however, is Ben Pedersen up in 13th. So Jonesy again, there or thereabouts without standing out tonight. But we've talked about the importance of consistency throughout the course of the evening. And Jonesy has been consistently in that bottom half of the top, that 10, 11 to 20 bracket of this field. I cannot believe we're only going to hit a half race distance this time through. Sebastian Eskandari, Hugo Allen and Reece Wakefield, 1, 2 and 3. Great to see Reece Wakefield up there, nipping at the heels of a podium finish. Seth Brown, we ride on board with him, 17th place at the moment, chasing Jones. Jackson Rayhana, how did he escape without sustaining serious race-ending damage in that incident out of the hairpin at the end of the back straight that got through the chicane? It was the hairpin part of that he ran into the wall in. And yet somehow he's still out there in 18th spot. So a get out of jail free card for him, no doubt. Dylan Shepherd, who was on the podium last time out, sits behind him, and Hayden Veld on the comeback trail in position number 20. We ride on board with Seth Brown, and you just see the sea of race cars ahead of him, Jake. Clear air is not something he's going to enjoy a hell of a lot of throughout the course of what's left in this race.
No, and that's going to put the engine temperatures up. You're going to have to follow. You're going to have to be brave out there. And the track temperature out here now, so we were talking, it was about 27 degrees in practice. It is 46 degrees Celsius track temperature right now in the early afternoon in sim time. And oh, what a way. He just gets to the corner. Oh, 2 Vermilions go off. Byron Pierce is one of them. And the second one there as well as Hayden Veld. Eclipse, sorry.
And he was a lot deeper into the gravel than his teammate was. So and especially now that the field's being bunched up by that safety car, that's a hell of a costly invoice for them. You mentioned earlier, any 10-second invoices, 5-second penalties that are handed out are obviously added on at the end of the 2 races tonight. So we'll get the official results through well after the fact to see how that looks once all the penalties have been applied. As Damon Woods gets through on Zach Rutway White for 4th, so the comeback continues and the podium is still a live chance for him right now. Next target, Reese Wakefield, then Hugo Allen and Sebastian Eskandari. These boys are only 2 seconds away from Sebastian Eskandari. Can the youngster, who's such a star in the karting universe, lead his way to a victory here and fend off these, oh geez, hip and shoulder, fend off these experienced campaigners, the likes of Woods and Ratway White and Hugo Allen. Of course, he'd love to go one step further up than what he did earlier in the night. Extraordinarily intense night of racing so far here at Circuit Park Zandvoort. Benny Patterson sits 13th at the moment. Ryan Jones, you picked him up. He's been shuffled back by Dylan Shepherd and Jackson Ray Hunter back into 19th. Now Lachlan Capel nipping at the heels there as well. Lap 14 underway.
Yeah, so they've got a lot of good battling that's going on as they fan out behind. Eskandari for Team Max Busto on top, started the night overall in 14th, got himself up to 8th on the inverse was 3rd, and now leads Hugo Allen, not really making too much of a dent. And the pass actually for Damon Woods a lap ago was really important, Zach, because you don't often get moves done at Sheave Lap corner. The key, Zach Rattray White having to catch some oversteer, and basically that's enough to get there. So suddenly Reese Wakefield is the difference between 100% podium rate or not. And look at that gap, it's now 1.1 seconds. So Reese Wakefield suddenly is going to be turning around and going, well, where's my way I can defend? Because suddenly it's falling away, and look at him, he's tighter, he's more menacing there in the Falcon Sim Racing blue and teal that is there in play, having a little nibble down to the inside. He's going to get drive off the exit, but he's going to be on the wrong side of the road now as he heads over to Hanses. Oh, and Reese just lifted out of it and said, wow, I give you no trouble. Wow.
That is extraordinary. So Wakefield concedes defeat before the contest even begins.
One. Eskandari's got a 15-second time penalty for what happened with Rick Kuznetsov.
Wowee. That is a monumental invoice. And I didn't get to finish that point because all hell breaking loose on the screen, obviously, as everyone can see at home, Jake. But any of those invoices that are applied, the more bunched up the field is, the more safety cars we get, the heftier those penalties become. Because the further you slip back through the field, particularly noting Benny Pedersen's 10-second invoice in the first race, Corey Lazarus's 5-second invoice in this race, and now Eskandari with 15. So if you're Hugo Allen, you don't contest this. You're happy to tuck in and follow Eskandari through and inherit the victory.
I don't think you are, because remember in race 1, it was a 3-second margin in 10 laps that Damon Woods was able to pull. Well, they're sitting down right now with 10 laps to go, and he's only 1.7 seconds off the back. He's got a motor, he's got to put a car in between himself and Damon Woods.
But the risk you run is if you don't manage to execute the overtake cleanly, you wear an invoice in your own right. So you've got to hedge your bets here, and it's got to be a controlled, calm, considered and clean move from Hugo Allen if he's to go for it. I like the idea, win it or bin it, but at the same time, you don't want to be copping a penalty from race control while trying to execute the move and put some breathing space between you and Damon Woods. That's a great run, and there's the rub. There's the rub. Eskandari once, twice, 3 times, and Hugo Allen has to reset and go again. Trouble further back.
Zach Rattray White. That's a huge accident, and he's now going to have to try and drive this one away from the scene of the crime. I can't believe how horrible of a day it has been for Zach Rattray White. Again, another one all on his own. Allen can't get it done on the inside, and I think it's another screen freeze by the looks of things for Zach Rattray White to deal with, and this has been the story of his race. Have another look as it gets busy in and around everywhere at this point, in through the opening section. Rahana's gone off the road again, and bang, he just drives it in the barriers. Big spin, it's Ryan Jones.
And he did well. Stuart Ellis has dropped to 21st position. He did well to spin it off to the right-hand side, off the racing line, out of harm's way, and not into the gravel. The amount of gravel that's been dragged back onto the racetrack, the amount of debris sitting there to be cleaned up on the racing line at the moment by these competitors, ladies and gentlemen, is off the chart. Hugo Allen, so you're saying he's got to try and make a move on Sebastian Eskandari. Eskandari's shown how difficult he's going to make that for Hugo Allen to execute. And there's the incident, the orbit drop bear entry getting into the side of Ryan Jones. And there's no love lost between those two stables, let's be perfectly honest.
No, there isn't. Remember, even though there's a 15-second penalty for Sebastian Eskandari, he's still got to drive it hard, and that's a mistake from Hugo Allen there as he walks through. I think it's a slow-down penalty, and so he's still trying to serve it here, and he clears it now, but Damon Woods will get the inside here for Ari Luyendijk, and this was the moment you did not want to get in, because this is the battle effectively for the race lead tonight. And now on the main straight, look at a side draft in on play. Hugo Allen trying to give it everything. Damon Woods chucks it back at the inside. There's contact between them as Woods goes deep, and Hugo Allen drives it around the outside and says, you may have had a hall pass from Reese Wakefield, from Zach Rattraywhite. I ain't giving you one, son.
No, exactly right. And how important is the Zach Rattraywhite incident in context to the championship? Damon Woods is going to extend his lead exponentially tonight, whether he finishes third, second or first. We know that these guys are arguing for the race win right now. We know that Sebastian Eskandari with that 15-second invoice is going to be scrubbed out of it. We don't know how far down the order he's going to plummet. At this stage, it would be behind Lockhart Brownlee in 16th, just ahead of Sebastian Vandel. That will change with 8 laps to go as Sebastian Eskandari continues to utilise clear air to his advantage. The margin over this pair is 1.7. That ain't going to cut it. These two are jigging it out for the race win. Hugo Allen has a big opportunity to grab the upset of the season here, and that is bad news for Zach Rattraywhite. Disastrous round for him.
They're going to have to throw a safety car here. He can't get off. He's right on the apex of turn 3. He's just pulled it down to the bottom. He removes the gloves. His day's going to be done. Safety car is deployed, and Zach Rattraywhite having an issue with another Zach Hanlin there. That's what's caused it, and suddenly disaster for Eskandari. He was trying to build a gap, and suddenly Allen and Woods are going to be all over him on what will be a time-certain final restart. We'll take another look. You can see he's heavily damaged. He's trying to limp to get a result home. Here is Zach Rattraywhite. Hanlin joins on the scene, doesn't know the difference. Into the side, bang! What a hit there up into the safer barriers.
And I dare say, even though Hanlon was hamstrung, Rattraywhite was hamstrung, I dare say Hanlon's copped an invoice for that one as well, and it's compromised the other car there that had nowhere to move, and it's just had to sit there until the track was clear enough in order to clear Rattraywhite. I was just being alerted. Pat Klein was the other car. Thank you, Jay Kennedy. I caught part of that first time through, and second time through, abundantly clear. Thank you, sir. Here it is again. From Klein's standpoint, look at this, unfortunately. Did well to get on the anchors. Unfortunately, he made inevitable contact, but then got on the anchors and then has just had to wait for the oncoming traffic to clear, because he wasn't able to get around on the outside, nor able to get clear on the inside without compromising someone else. So Klein will drop down the order and to pit lane by the looks of this. Ryan Jones moves up into 28th spot as a result of all that. Byron Pearce, unlucky for him, he's in 29th right now. Then Harry Lawrence, Pat Klein, Ewan Baker. The rate of attrition in this race is unsurprising, but the casualty ward is growing by the minute. 10:40 to go. The likelihood of time certainty inevitably kicks in. We're on lap 18, 6 to go up the line, and Sebastian Eskandari still controls this field, but we know he's got a 15-second invoice coming his way. Whooshka, that's an enormous impact for Zach Rattraywhite. A shocking way for his night to end. And we talk about pivotal moments, defining moments. There's one right there for you, Jake. A defining moment in the context of this championship fight, because he loses now an enormous amount of ground to the championship leader, Damon Woods. And really, he was the only one that was showing any signs of being able to somewhat contain or reel Damon back in. And it is going to balloon out in his favour tonight. He may as well, I know it's round 5 and I don't want to put the mocker on it, but I don't think I'm going to do so. He may as well put one hand, imprint one hand on the championship right now, Damon Woods.
I think he's getting the rub of the green, and I think the issue for Zach Rattraywhite is not the position he finds himself in. It's not the making the best of a bad situation. He needs, in the next 2 weeks here, Zach, a full tech overhaul of his PC, because this will cost him not just in this championship, but every other championship that he looks to go and run in as well here on iRacing. So he's got to do something about that, because suddenly this opens the door up for Rick Kuznetsov, who's in 12th place at the moment. It opens up the door for Zach Kerr in 9th. Zach Kerr has had a quietly underrated day. It's not been the greatest day for Marino Morella, but you're looking down the list. Seth Brown, not had a great day. I suddenly turn to the OPR Gamma Flare cars right now. I think Dean Mackay is making his way into the top 5 after tonight.
I think you're absolutely right. And we've just been advised too, and I had no idea it was creeping up that quickly. The second of the V8 Pro Enduros is this Friday night. The next one, of course, being Mount Panorama Bathurst, Sunday, August 16, the 1,000. Round 6, the 500 from Sandown, the second of the Enduros for the ASRG V8 Pro Invitational Series. Friday night, you'll see it live in all markets, 6:45 Eastern Standard Time, 8:45 a.m. GMT. Good luck to Scott Rankin and Stephen Sandman Clark with the call of that one. That will be live in all markets. And Zach White plays a prominent role there within the Eclipse stable. Let's hope he can turn things around, technically speaking, and I mean that in every sense of the word, between now and Friday night. If anyone in the PC game lives in the vicinity of Zach White and can offer some sort of assistance to get him out of trouble, please sing out, because he needs all the help in the world at the moment. The last 3 weeks have not been very kind to him. He got lucky at Le Mans. His luck has run out here.
Absolutely has. Safety car has now been given the control from Mike Korolev to move away. And so the control of the field once again will be with Sebastian Eskandari, who now has to make 15 seconds as quickly as he possibly can to gain as many places in this race as he possibly can. Hugo Allen knows for the race win, he's got to keep Damon Woods behind, and the Auto Moves team that is really moving up in the world internationally. They've brought in some great drivers like Gabriel Ivanov, like Connor Franson, for example, like Aaron Vasquez, Mr. 13,000 iRacing they're looking to bring into the team. This is a team that's making big statement moves, and Hugo Allen has now got to have a big statement drive to keep Mr. Statement in this series, Damon Woods, directly behind. Eskandari taking a big wide line here, and Hugo Allen, I don't think, has a clue when he's going to launch and when he's going to go. Safety car is down in the pit, so there's no worries then on that regard, but now you've got to really hold your ground to it. That's very early, going then through turn 13 to I. Luyendijk to get the drive away. Eskandari looks to run quickly. We're down to 5 laps to go in this race, but critically on time. We've got 6:23 on the clock, and immediately moves in the background. Big power move then by Tom Bewley down the inside of Sam Muir, and he can't quite get it done because he gets back under. Does Super Sam trying to get his way back, but Bewley is brilliant. He holds his ground at Gerlach.
Brilliant move, and then trouble at the back for the OPR car and one of the Vermilion cars as well. And the rejoin questionable. And it just rubs salt into the wound of their respective nights. Back to the front, Hugo Allen. Sebastian Eskandari will, well, as Piers Morgan would say, take the moral victory here if he can. He'll lead them across the strike and get the checkered flag. But Hugo Allen and, of course, Damon Woods probably have something to say about that. Reese Wakefield and Corey Lazarus, therefore, of course, arguing over 4th on the racetrack, but Wakefield doesn't need to worry too much about Lazarus because he's got a 5-second invoice coming his way as well. Tom Bewley will want to get by Corey Lazarus as promptly, as swiftly as he can, because he then will try and set up a crack at Reese Wakefield for what would be the inherited 3rd position in this car race. So much post-race work for race control to do, everything provisional once it comes up on your screen in 5 to 6 minutes time, ladies and gentlemen. And now Hugo Allen on the defensive from Damon Woods.
He's on the offensive as well, so he's having to do both at the same time. Now this is going to be a critical Ari Luyendijk corner, and placement is everything. Allen straight to the inside, forces the door open on Eskandari, 3 wide towards turn number 1. Damon Woods trying to sweep around the outside. Eskandari pulls the end-door brake manoeuvre, and Hugo Allen gets through, and there's no room for Damon Woods on the outside here as they head to Gerlach. Can he muscle his way by? Eskandari tries to get his nose back in, gets on the side of the door. Now here at the Hugenholz, some big deep lines being taken. No drive now for Damon. Watch out as one of the Orbit drop bear cars has gone around and reached Wakefield back to the party. Alan leads on merit.
And Damon Woods has bailed right out of that one, into the clutches of Reese Wakefield as well. Bewley now has a crack, gets by Corey Lazarus. So these guys are arguing over second and third. And Hugo,
Escandari's got in the side of Hugo Allen. Damon Woods is now your net race leader. Oh my goodness me. It's all kicking off, and Escandari right now wields the sword with reckless abandon.
His control aren't going to view that too favourably, considering that he's already got a 15-second invoice. Therefore, theoretically, technically, he's out of contention, and he's arguing as though he's vying for the race win. Mathematically, of course, he's not. There's the contact. Bang! Forceful, aggressive.
You've got to be more disciplined if you're Sebastian Escandari. Yes, you've got a test with Rodin in August, but you're driving like, you know, you're not engaging brain at all, and I don't think Rodin will take too kindly if you're not going to drive with your brain out there. You're not going to get your test to work like that, Sunshine. Buck your ideas up. Here's what happened then into turn one. Oh, just the tiniest bit of contact, and around you go. But suddenly, this, I think, for Damon Woods, as we are effectively looking down 3:03 on the clock. It's not the final lap of the race. 3:03 on the clock. I turn around to it and say we've still got 3 laps to go. We are just going to make it on time.
Yeah, it says final lap, but let's wait and see what Barney's up to when we get back to the strike. Through we go. Sebastian Escandari, Damon Woods, Reese Wakefield. So Woods, Wakefield, Bewley now up into effective third. Another podium finish coming his way if things stay as they are. But I tell you what, they'll be up and about in the paddock once this one's done, Jake. Tempers flaring, blood pressure, patience, tolerance, temper, all of it being tested at the moment, particularly if you're Hugo Allen. You feel sorry for him. I mean, that was a certain race victory, or second at the worst, that has just been absolutely wiped out from under his feet. Reese Wakefield, however, stands to be the big beneficiary of all of that. His first podium finish of the season coming up potentially.
If Damon Woods is clever about this, all he's got to do is make sure Reese Wakefield doesn't get himself involved, doesn't get a chance to have a sniff down through on the inside. This is going to be where you're just starting to pick this up together and say how much time left with Sebastian Escandari. 1:40 remaining on the clock, and it is going to be very, very close on whether it's going to be last lap or not. White flag being shown as they cross with 1:38 on the clock here. So Escandari will be keeping a very, very close eye on it here to say, right, I'm going to give absolutely everything and then some here to hold my place. So Damon Woods will be looking around here thinking, do I want it on track or not? Reese Wakefield can't hang in my shoes at the moment, and so it's staying as it is for the time being, and this is going to be a case of, right, I want everything I can and then some. Tom Bewley could take second from this, and that would be huge for what he's hoping to gun for out there. Allen currently is fourth on the road as far as the time penalties go, but Damon Woods closing down, Bewley closing down. Wakefield has to half defend this one into turn 7, and look at a drive that Damon Woods has suddenly got here and forced himself to think about the outside going through turn 10. This is not over. This is not done at this moment in time, and Escandari right now I think could be taking victory on circuit, but he's going to get raked heavy over the coals when it comes to what race control we'll look at here. Reese Wakefield nowhere near close enough. One braking zone remains. Then as they hit through the right of turn 13, and now finally Ari Luyendijk awaits. 4 races where he hasn't been able to convert a race to. Escandari will get it on track, but it is Damon Woods at his level best, and he puts a chasm between himself and everybody else in this championship.
Extraordinary work. Have a look at the photo finishes all around as battles play out right to the end, right to the control line. Barney waving an invisible white flag and checkered flag respectively there, ladies and gentlemen. He is there. He's just forgotten what he's there for by the looks of all of that. You mentioned Eskandari getting hurled over the coals there, Jake. I reckon the term hung, drawn and quartered comes to mind with regards to some of the incidents we saw there post that final safety car restart, post the penalty being applied or handed out to him previously in the process. So credit to Damon Woods. Second is good enough on this occasion. We've seen that before in big events. Sixth win of the season gets handed to him by way of that 15-second penalty for Eskandari. Feel for Hugo Allen, but Damon Woods to gain, well, what will essentially be 9 positions, a cut above yet again on a track that I said would be difficult for overtaking unless you got your mongrel on. And by gee, they're all mongreled out, I think. I'm not sure they've got any more mongrel to give when we get to the next few rounds of this series. That was of the highest order, some of the most aggressive racing we're ever likely to see. I mean, it's been very, very heated throughout the course of this season. The gloves have been off right from the outset, but it went to a whole new level tonight. I'm sure Race Control will be having a stiff drink after this one, Jake. They've earned their stripes. They've earned their keep. They were always going to have to work hard tonight. They did that. Sebastian Eskandari showing on track as the race leader, but you'll get an indication in a moment when we go over the page exactly how far down the order he's going to be dropping, and that's before Race Control even adjudicates on that incident with Hugo Allen, who did come home in 5th in the end. So Woods, Wakefield, Bewley, Lazarus and Allen. Muir, not too bad off the invert pole. Mackay, Kerr and Hodge. Drama plus Jake Sperry.
Absolutely, and remember that Corey Lazarus has 5, so he's
Correct.
actually going to drop himself 2.4 seconds off. He's actually going to be marked down then in 15th place, all things said and done, behind Sebastian Varndell. So Kuznetsov will actually get 9th, Marina Morella 10th, Ben Pedersen, Seth Brown, Dylan Shepherd, Seb Varndell. Then you got Lockie Capel, then in effectively 60th, Jackson Raihana, Sam Chapman and Hayden Veld will be promoted up to 19th position. And then you keep on going. It will officially be 28 at the end of the race there to be for Sebastian Eskandari as Byron Pierce, Simon Mazzomo, Scott Rankin, Jared McLeod in the 25 car out there because the number's so big we're going to shout it. Zach Hanlin is there in 25th position with Ryan Jones and Ewan Baker. There's Harry Lawrence in 29th and Stuart Ellis is there in 30th position overall, 21 seconds back. What a litany of cars. Yeah, what a litany of cars here. There, safety car is in the 0 out there and working forward too. But you can see Miles Burgess, Stefan McCarthy, and Zach Rattray-White. That is going to be the big blemish on the card. Then as he goes through, Brock Gilchrist, Angus Lawford, Danny Davidson, Jack Widdus as well. Oh, this was supposed to be his day, but it wasn't. So a lot of dramas out there. So he did finish 75% of the race. So I think Zach Rattray-White is going to get points for what he's done today. Now that's going to be critical.
And we did get the whole race distance in the end, didn't we, boys? We got to 24, so yeah, 18's fine. So Zach Rattray-White, very lucky in the grand scheme of things. You can tell by that timesheet there, ladies and gentlemen, that Zach Rattray-White, Sebastian, I'm getting my names mixed up because we're talking about both of them. Sebastian Eskandari is going to drop outside the top 20, such is the invoice coming his way, with still more to come. Oh, my goodness gracious me. You mentioned this being a big crucial moment in the championship. Damon Woods couldn't have asked for a better night. A clean sweep, a dream result, and any sort of pressure that might have been coming his way has slowly but surely been shaken off in a big way throughout the course of the night so far. The 5th round of the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational Series. I mean, probably not the way you want to put distance between yourself and the rest of the chasing pack, but you've got to take those opportunities when they're presented to you, Jake, and I believe you've got the race winner standing by.
Damon, Eskandari's got 15-second penalty, no shock, so you've gone double-double here tonight for the first time this season, and what a critical time for you to do it with all the troubles that Zach's having, that there's, Rick Kuznetsov was in and around the top 10, same for Zach Kerr, Morella nowhere, Seth Brown nowhere. With all the rivals around you, this was effectively the perfect storm for you today here at Zandvoort. Yeah,
it was pretty crazy. It's unfortunate that Zach fell trouble to some wheelbase demons. So yeah, it's not the way I want to go and extend my championship lead, but in real life racing you have mechanical failures as well. So in the end it's similar to that, but yeah, being my mate as well, I don't like to see that happen. But yeah, I mean, I'll take a full sweep of points. It's the first time this season. Yeah, it was a pretty chaotic race, and to be honest, I'm glad it came home safe, especially after getting shunted lap one.
Yeah, so talk us through pack mentality out there, because it looked like here at Zandvoort, the respect of the field and the respect of the racing just pretty much got chucked out the window the moment that the green light came out there. So for you driving at the front, you wouldn't have seen much of it in race one, but moving forward through race two, did you see a lot of that elbows out mentality of I'm going to give nothing at anywhere? And how do you look to manage around a mentality of drivers just saying I'm not going to give anything up compared to, say, Reese Wakefield giving the place to you on the straight?
Well, I mean, first of all, big thanks to Reese for that. I appreciate it. He didn't have to, but I think, yeah, he realised that the pace was in my car, and it was overall the best decision for his race, which it turned out to be. But yeah, look, to be honest, off the start, I was like, I just need to get as many positives as I can without risking the car. So I put myself in, high percentage moves. So like, I knew outside of turn 3 was going to be really safe because you could get a really good run off the corner and you weren't going to get absolutely shunted into the fence. And then, yeah, even in the middle sector, going for a move, I think it was turn 9, where it's pretty low speed. There's a lot of room going into the corner. And heaps of room on the exit. So it wasn't like I was trying to force the car into a ever tightening gap like you get into the last chicane. But yeah, then I ended up getting punted into that chicane, which was suboptimal for sure. But yeah, I mean, mistakes happen, so I can't really lay too much blame, but it is what it is. And then from that point, I was just like, I'll just let it play out, see what happens. And it ended up kicking off at the end with Hugo and Seb, and yeah, I was able to pick up the pieces.
Right. Championship lead now is going to be well over 100 points, over 150, I reckon, and nearing 200 by the time you get yourself over in 2 weeks' time over to the Red Bull Ring. Now, let's talk a difference in how the setup of the night is going to go for you. Obviously, you're a master of race ones. You mitigate the damages through race twos. Now, how do you deal with 3 very, very quick 60-kilometer races in a row and dealing with a triple header next time out?
Well, it depends what the last race is going to be, if it's going to be an invert or not. I haven't quite looked into that yet. So if it's an invert, then it's going to make my life very difficult, assuming I get back to the front. But yeah, to be honest, I'm just going to play the first race just like I do every other weekend, and then, yeah, try and work my way back through. And then by race 3, it's just bag the points, I think, is probably the best way to go about it. I don't need to do anything stupid. I have the gap in the championship, so I can give up a few points here and there if I really need to, if it's going to help me in the long run. So in the end, it's all about banking points and making sure that I'm still crossing the line at the end of the day.
Championship leader, and now by a large margin, Damon Woods getting the job done here today at the circuit Zandvoort. And I talk about this, Zach, for who's going to be stood alongside with you right now. Walked into today on the bubble, 19th in the championship, and critically walks away with a podium today. Reese Wakefield is here and by with Zach Caben.
Thank you very much, Jake. Important to note for the context of people that are potentially new spectators, new fans of our offering here on the platforms of the Australian Sim Racing Group. We have it with the supercars. We have it also now with the Porsche Pro as well. When Jake's talking about on the bubble, he's meaning with regards to championship standings, the top 20 getting that automatic ticket going into 2027, as in, here you are, come and go around with us again, and the other 20 going into what will be, breaking news alert if you haven't already put the pieces of the puzzle together, a qualifying series similar to what you see with the supercars next year to get the season underway. Race for your place on the main grid. Reese Wakefield, a very important round for you, mate, and a couple of nice top 10 finishes to go with it. Talk us through just how frantic and hectic that was from your standpoint, mate, knowing that there were penalties being applied to your fellow competitors, knowing that the elbows were out, everyone was, very willing and very happy to rub panels and exchange blows. It was a very frantic sort of night, a hectic sort of night in terms of the rate of attrition. Plenty of carnage. You've obviously prevailed, been able to get through it clean and unscathed. You must be wrapped.
Look, I'm stoked for that. With the first couple of races in the season that I've had, haven't been the greatest. I've been tipped or gotten some rough penalties, but these last two races, both at Le Mans and Zandvoort tonight, have been on the up for me personally. I think it's also on the up for the team as well. We're putting in some strong performances lately, which is really starting to show that when we aren't involved in any silly incidents, we can really put it up there with the top boys. But no, I'm wrapped for a podium. Out of all the places on the calendar, Zandvoort definitely wasn't the one where I was expecting a podium because of how tricky the track itself is, especially in these cars where it's very they don't have the downforce like a GT3 car, so you really got to trail them in and get on power early. And with Zandvoort being mainly a one-line kind of track, and your only real overtaking opportunities are turn 9, 10, and turn 1. So it was very tricky to get through, especially with the amount of cars we have on grid. But I'm just thankful I got through in the end and to finish it off with a podium.
And of course, joining a growing list of competitors to grace us with their presence on the podium so far this season, mate. I think you're 11 or 12 now. With Hugo Allen being 11, you'd be number 12. Extraordinarily competitive night. Real rate of attrition and some championship defining stuff there. So the misfortune of others is also something you've been able to benefit from. And it swings and roundabouts, right? Because as you just detailed, you've had your own misfortune going into this season. So to get through a round that you were slightly skeptical about, and now be able to set yourself up with some momentum to carry forward to the rest of the season, huge confidence boost, no doubt.
100%, massive confidence boost heading into the next round. I know as personally and as a team, I know we can do it. And obviously we've shown that at Le Mans and here at Zandvoort tonight. It's all about just making sure we put our car in the right places at the right time and not going for anything silly. I think at the start of the season, a lot of the people hadn't raced with each other before, so I think the first couple of rounds was just trying to suss out what everyone's driving style was like. But I think now, as we settle almost into this mid portion of the series, we're becoming quite on terms with how everyone drives. So it's a lot. The racing's a lot better than what it was at the start of the season, which is great. But it's still a lot of elbows out. It's still a lot of rubbing is racing, and it's good to see such a tight spread between all the cars we have.
Yeah, very nicely done. I mean, obviously, not the easiest night for Dylan Shepherd after that turnaround result at Le Mans. So you've picked up the baton and run with it as far as the team achievements are concerned, mate. Zandvoort, such a tricky racetrack, isn't it? Because for a lot of it, they're one-line groove and you got to be a little bit forceful. But from your standpoint, just how committed did you have to be mentally and also driving wise throughout the course of those two races? Because obviously it was a bit stop-start with the safety cars, which pressed the field up and meant you had to work for your stripes, earn your stripes all over again.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it was very hard tonight. You're constantly looking behind you to see how far the car behind is, because it's a very tight track. There's little margin for error, and the track tonight being over 40 degrees, the car doesn't want to turn anyway. But you add 40 degrees of track temp, and it just makes it so much more harder. So you needed to be very much on point, both mentally and with your driving capabilities tonight. Otherwise, one small mistake and you can lose 3 to 5 places in an instant. So very much a battle of attrition tonight. But I'm happy we got there in the end.
And probably one of the more challenging circuits that we navigate on the entire tour. We turn it around in 2 weeks' time, mate, and we go back to something that's not dissimilar to Le Mans in the sense that it's open, flowing, fast. We're talking, of course, about the Red Bull Ring. Plenty of runoff area to play with there. But again, like Zandvoort, if you come unstuck, it's never a small off-track excursion there. What's the plan of attack for the first sprint round of the season? And where are the goalposts set with regards to potential finishing results? Are you confident that you can back up the podium finish we've seen here?
I think there's a good chance, yeah. Like I stated earlier, we're showing a really good performance. in these last couple of races. I mean, Dean Mackay, Dylan Shepherd both had podiums at Le Mans, and now it's my turn here at Zandvoort. So as a team, I think what we're doing behind the scenes is really building us up both confidence and in our pace. So I'm very much looking forward to Red Bull Ring. Red Bull Ring's it's a very racy track. You go there with any types of motorsport, and you're always going to have a good race. So I'm hoping it's going to be another one of those classic that you look back on and say, "Wow, that was a great race."
Oh, very nicely done, mate. Congratulations. Always great to welcome new people into the booth to have a chat post-race. We highlighted that at the start of the night that we've had now 12 different drivers salute the judges in a podium position throughout the course of the season. Congratulations on that. Well overdue result, considering the form that you brought to the table without any sort of luck in the 4 rounds previous to tonight. Good luck with everything over the next couple of weeks, and let's hope for a repeat performance tonight when we see you at the Red Bull Ring in a couple of weeks' time. Go well.
Cool. Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me.
Brilliant from Reese Wakefield. Another nice result for the OPR stable. Yet another driver from their stable on the podium this season. There's what's ahead. It's an extraordinary schedule. I'll let you read through that, ladies and gentlemen. Just as I throw it back to you, Jake. In that race, we didn't get too much of a chance because we didn't have any time to come up for air because there was so much going on to highlight position gains throughout the course of that race. Lachlan Capel, 15. Zach Brown, 13. Hayden Veld, 16. But well out in front, Sebastian Vandel, plus 22, taking full advantage of the opportunity presented to him, A, with the carnage unfolding, B, with the attrition, and C, with being brought back to the next car in the train by virtue of the safety car being deployed twice throughout the course of that race, mate. Frantic stuff, championship defining and game changing, because so many of the would-be former championship contenders, the guys that were nipping at the heels of a top three, or in Zach White's case, trying to reel Damon Woods in. A lot of that's fallen by the wayside tonight, and they've got 2 weeks now to try and reset and regroup and try and get back on track when we get to the Red Bull Ring. And as I throw it back to you, I know you're part of the world on the edge of its seat in about 7 hours' time with the game of football. Good luck with that.
Well, that, of course, is one thing, but I would say there'll be drivers here from running here that are on the edge of their seat for Sandown Racing with the V8 Pro Invitational that is coming up. That is round 6, of course, on July 17th. You'll definitely want to jump in with us here in the group at SimSpeed, as well as us on the likes of the Australian Sim Racing Group as well. Most importantly, for all of the action that's been going on Speed Cafe, you'll definitely want to jump in on that. We're over to Federated Auto Parts Raceway at I-55 for the Sprint Car Pro Invitational. That'll be in from 8 o'clock as we near ever closer to Mountain Week here with us and the all-important Bathurst 1000 proceedings, which will see our big race come along as well. But our next round, the last stop before that, is the halfway stage, the Red Bull Ring for the triple header, 60-60-60. Out there right now, they're going to be trying to do their best Simon Whitlocks out there if they possibly can, trying to get everything sorted with that one overall. You can catch that 7:45 AEDT to make sure you're in with some pretty amazing racing. From Jay Kennedy behind the cameras, from Zach Cabin, who's been alongside myself, Jake Sperry. That was the moment, I think, that the top blew off the kettle and it took half the roof with it. I think there's so many drivers who thought, this is going to have to be my day today. And they turn around and go, nah, it wasn't yours. And it wasn't yours, and it wasn't yours, and it weren't yours. It was a case of a calm head, a careful brew needed to be put together. And ultimately, the sweetest of them all was the one that Damon Woods, once again, could produce. His first double, and this time even more dominant. A chasm opens up between himself and the rest of the championship, and I think he realizes here he is a cut above everybody else in a Porsche 992.2. It's Damon's world, and everybody else is just lost against Woods.
Hi, I'm Jado Jada. I currently race GT3 in Australia. It's a cool brand. The socks and the gloves are quite cool, and it's good to use on the sim. High quality materials, and most importantly, comfortable. Quite cool to feel all the bits doing their job, and it was good.